WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Happy Hour Friday starts now on the Sports Bash, live 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and, of course, live video streaming on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel, produced by BFA Sports. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Hennings producing today's show. You out there, Happy Hour Friday. We've got a busy one for you. 4 more chances for you to enter to win Eagles Commanders tickets. Listen, this hour for your cue to call. We're going to have the big party on a Happy Hour Friday, October 28th, Garden State Beer Company. So listen for the details later on in this hour. Also, 5 pairs of tickets today. I'm going to announce 5 winners. ZZ Top's playing at Ocean Casino Resort, and we're going to be giving away 5 pair of tickets, 5 winners. You can enter it still right now. Go to the website or use the free mobile app, 973ESPN.com/app. We got a busy show for you as we do on a Friday, Happy Hour Friday. We're in a good mood, feel good. Mike McGarry will talk a little Phils as they get a big win last night against the Bravos. You got Sal Pal today. Ryan's here in the 3 o'clock hour. Football at 4. One thought every game. And, of course, good evening NFC East with Jeff Kerr at 5:30. You know, Eagles, Commanders, I'm all ready for the game. I'm excited about this one. I can't wait to see the follow-up from what the Eagles, bring to the table. You know, that whole matchup is very intriguing. We got the Carson Wentz. We haven't talked a lot about that this week. The matchup between the Eagles' defense and Wentz and his, weapons. He's got McLaurin, who has really roasted the Eagles in games that they have played. You know, I read something yesterday. I couldn't believe when I saw this. I mean, I know McLaurin has been pretty good, but he has 468 receiving yards against the Eagles since 2019. That's more than any other player in the entire NFL. So this guy, Terry McLaurin, has been the biggest pain in the Eagles' ass since 2019. So let's keep perspective on that. So we'll break down all that game. But I got to start with the Fightins last night. Got to. This is a Phillies team that nobody wants to follow, nobody wants to get into, nobody wants to invest their time in. And last night, back to the wall, Braves in town, everybody asking the questions, are they leaking oil, are they running out of gas? In front of a lofty crowd of 21,000, many of those 21,000 designed as blue seats sitting at Citizens Bank Park last night. That's an embarrassing effort. It's an embarrassing crowd last night for a pennant race with like 4 games left in the home schedule against the Braves. I mean, the Braves are here and still nobody. Come on, people.
And on the national TV, telecast, it actually looked worse than it usually does because I felt like every camera angle was on an empty seat.
Well, neither here nor there. The people just don't care about this team for whatever reason, but they did their job last night. And they won a game against a Braves team who sent Max Fried to the mound. You know, you're talking about one of the Braves' top pitchers. Max Fried's pretty darn good. You're not talking about some journeyman stiff that they threw at you last night. If you go into a playoff matchup against the Atlanta Braves, guess what? You're going to get Max Fried. He's going to be one of the guys that pitches one of those first 2 games against you. And this is another example of the Phillies scratching and clawing and finding a way to win against a top pitcher. They've done it against Sandy Alcantara many times this year. Max Fried they beat last night. Look, I know winning 1-0 doesn't seem like you got to Max Fried, but guess what? They had the 1 run, and it held up. Ranger Suarez pitched excellent last night. He absolutely had to have that type of performance to give you that feeling. I thought Zach Eflin was awesome coming out of the bullpen last night. What a role that they can put him in the playoffs now. If you have Eflin and he can kind of be a 2-inning guy. And then Jose Alvarado, man, I got to be honest. He's a guy that I didn't trust as far as I could throw him. but he has pitched so well since he's come back from. I can't believe how well this guy is pitching. They talked about it on the broadcast last night. Who was that, Adam Amin? No, he was doing the Yankee game. Kenny Albert was doing the Phillies game. Who was the guy doing the game with him? They never said his name once.
I have no idea. I actually don't
I know that he
remember.
played with Ken Griffey Jr. That's all I know, because he made a reference to using Griffey's bat and that Griffey didn't care for it too much. Because there was an at-bat where Harper was using Vierling's bat.
Right.
And Albert asked him, have you ever used someone's bat? And he says, I used Griffey Jr.'s once, and I don't think he really liked that I used his bat all that much. So I don't know who he was. I guess he played for the Reds or the Mariners. But whoever he was, he kept saying that he was surprised that the Phillies weren't going to David Robertson. Like he said, with Robertson warming up the way that he's going, I'll be surprised if they don't go to him right now, because Alvarado comes up in the ninth, and he's facing – the first batter was a lefty, but the second batter was a right-handed batter. So there was some surprise there. And then Grossman, he broke it all down, how Grossman's a switch hitter, but he's much better a right-handed hitter than he is a left-handed hitter, and he thought that Rob Thompson would go to Robertson. He actually said, I'm really surprised that Thompson's not going to Robertson in this spot. But Alvarado got the job done. He got the strikeout. He got helped by the umpire on that second strike call there. But that was a monster game for the Phillies last night. They had to have that game. At least now you say, all right, we got one against the Braves. Still 3 to go. Got to figure out how to get one of these next 3. Have to. The wild card stays kind of interesting, but as the sand starts to go through the hourglass, my friends, the Phillies are 2.5 up on the Brewers. It's really a full extra game because they have the tiebreaker. They have a game at hand on the Brewers. They're 3 up in the loss column on the Brewers. So that was a game last night that really changed the dynamics because of this wild card race, because the Brewers are having a grand old time right now. They're playing the Reds, right? They have a 4-game set against the Reds. You've got the Braves. And if the Brewers at the end of the weekend look up and say, man, we just had the Reds while they had the Braves and we still didn't gain any ground, that will be a deflating feeling, I think, for them.
But it was A.J. Pierzynski.
Oh, okay. A.J. Pierzynski on the call last night.
It must have been with Griffey when it was on the White Sox.
Yeah. All right.
I found out thanks to your buddy over at Announcer Schedules.
Yeah, I was going to say you should check out Announcer Schedules. He probably had who that was.
That's where I got it from. Thanks to him.
You know, how about Matt Vierling, by the way? He had the game-winning RBI last night, kind of quietly, because it was a sacrifice fly. But that's the kind of game you need. That's the kind of game you have to have at this stage of the season, friends. And I want to know out there, so I know we have these conversations all the time. These conversations to me, we were just at lunch, and this is what we were talking about. What was the setup in your house last night? Like, how did you go about – now, I had 3 games going. I'm not sure that how many people in the audience were all into the college football game last night.
WVU,
but I had
Virginia
WVU, Virginia Tech. I had the Phillies game. And then, of course, the Amazon Prime game last night, which we'll get into as well. But, you know, that Amazon Prime thing, like, I don't hate it. I get it. I'm used to it. But it's the whole, like, I can't flip back and forth. That's the issue. Like, I want to flip back and forth during the – you know what I'm saying?
You want the optionality.
Well, it's like the Phillies game was on my TV. That's
Right.
what I was watching because that game started at 7. Then at 8:15, when the football game started, you can't just be like, hey, the Phillies game's in a commercial.
And WVU kicked off at what, 7:30?
7:30. So with the Phillies and WVU for a half hour, I'm going back and forth on. But then the football game comes on, the NFL game at 8:15.
And you have to sacrifice your changing the channel.
Well, yeah, because you have to launch the app. And then
Right.
once you're in the app, you have
stuck.
to get out of the app to go back to the other 2. Now, I got people sending me pictures, go get an extra television. You know, I share that room with a young lady. I'm not so sure that she wants 2 TVs in my living room. I'm sorry, we can't all have a palatial
man cave
basement that's 900,000 square feet where I can fit 8 televisions. Like, God forbid. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't put a second television in my living room. I don't think my girlfriend would appreciate that too much. So I have to make some choices here. Now,
So what did you end up doing?
well, because of the Amazon Prime situation, I went Prime on the television. I got to sit there and watch the Phillies on my laptop.
Okay.
Which isn't easy either because, you know me, I got 900 tiles up. I'm doing work. When I get home at night, my laptop's out. I'm getting ready for the show the next day. So to put a game on my laptop is not, I'm kind of listening to it while I'm listening to that. Then I have my telephone, my cellular phone, I should say. Who calls it a telephone anymore?
People who actually remember what telephones were.
I have my phone that had the West Virginia game on. So I had West Virginia on the phone, Phillies on the laptop, football game on. Then halftime comes. When halftime of the NFL game kicks in, that's when I go back to the Phillies on the big screen because now they're in like the 7th and 8th inning. So the nitty-gritty, I want to get that back on the big screen. The NFL game didn't go back to the television until the Phillies game ended. And then the West Virginia game just kind of stayed on my phone because they kind of got some control of that game. I got to be honest, though. There's some social media on this. Follow me on Twitter, at Mike Gill Show. The entrance last night of Virginia Tech was really cool. I got to give them credit.
Sandman, right?
Sandman, but that place was electric. They did the place was absolutely packed, and that's not a good team. So I give them credit. I give them credit for packing the place.
Are you saying that Virginia Tech fans are more loyal than Philly fans?
Yeah. They showed all the different camera views. They had, like, the players waiting to come out, like the door, like them looking out. The guy's got the flag.
Right.
They showed the place just jumping up and down. They're scouring through there. And then when the crescendo hits, they've got a freaking firework display like it's 4th of July for those guys coming out. I said, this is pretty chilling, man. This is pretty awesome.
College football's amazing.
Oh, man. Go on my Twitter, at Mike Gill Show, and tell me that Open doesn't have you ready to play a game, whether you're 40, 50, maybe even 60 years old, you're ready to run out there on the field. But that was kind of the setup I had last night. 609-403-0973. What's the matter, Mike? You don't like Fransky and Born on the radio? No, I like Fransky. I don't. Bourne is okay. I don't know. He's got so many different partners on the radio. But I'm at home. I'm not listening to the game on the radio.
I'm not a fan of listening to the game on the radio while watching another game on the television.
Well, if I could sync it up.
If you can sync it up, that's cool. And that's if you if you have someone you want to hear specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind.
If it's Tom McGinnis and it's a Sixers game on television, you can sync it up.
Yeah, but I like Fransky. So I'm not, dissing those guys. I don't think they do it. I don't have a radio in my house, believe it or not.
I have a rigged radio.
Yeah, I don't have, a radio or a stereo.
I don't have a normal radio.
Yeah. Now, I did think about getting a second television outside of my porch.
Right.
I have talked about that. But it was a little chilly last night.
A little chill in the air.
Yeah.
I had to pull out the hoodie last night.
Yeah, it was first night where it was now I have a heater on the out back porch.
You do?
Yeah. So I could do that in the future. But last night's not a night where I felt like sitting outside by myself watching. I use the porch as a place when buddies come over.
A social gathering.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to sit outside and leave my girlfriend inside by herself while I'm outside. She likes to watch the games too, But she doesn't like to be outside. It's too cold.
Right.
But Phillies last night, big win. Now Chuck just sent me a message. Says yesterday's bar had every game on last night. Ask Josh, why were you there?
I was there.
Oh, that's why. You were out last night watching all the
I had the Phillies game. There was 3 TVs in a row across from me. The very left TV was the Phillies game. The center TV was Amazon Prime Thursday football. The third TV was your game, West Virginia.
Well, I would hope.
Tech.
If you're at a bar, they better have those 3 games on. If not, they're getting called out.
And then the fourth TV had the Coastal Carolina game.
There you go. I mean, you got to have something different on every TV.
They did.
Unless
I had prime seating right there. All
the only way it's acceptable to have the same game on multiple TVs is if the vision,
right, you can't see
the line of vision is blocked, and somebody else needs it on their side.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
For example, there are TVs behind my head, and they were basically a mirror of what I was looking at for the people across from me.
Should be. Right. All right. And the one thing that was a little annoying, I think, I don't really. Maybe I'm kind of on my own island here. I don't care about Aaron Judge hitting home runs. I really don't.
Really?
I don't need you to cut off the game to show me Aaron Judge's at bats.
So you don't care about history at all?
I don't think it's history.
What do you
I've
mean?
already seen people hit over 60 home runs.
Aaron Judge hit 60 home runs faster than Maris and Ruth.
Yeah, okay, well, that's great. But they're making it like this is like him breaking the home run records.
Well, he's breaking the American League record.
The American League record.
The American League record is 61.
I know. I'm just
McGuire and Sosa and
I get it. Like I feel like, and I'm saying I feel like I should be more invested and care about this. I just don't. Like the whole hitting home run things to me is kind of like, whatever.
do you just not care
Maybe
about
it's
home
because of
runs?
social media. Maybe because I know I can see it on social media 5 seconds after. I saw the one that he hit to center field that he didn't hit out
Right.
100 million times already. I think if he hits that home run, I think I'm going to see it.
So
I don't need Fox to cut into it for me while I'm watching. They put on his at bat in a big moment of the Phillies game last night.
Correct.
I was like, what are you doing? I forget who was up the bat and when it was.
So your larger issue is the cut-in. It's not the actual Judge hitting
Just
the
like
home
I'm
run.
not like in '98, I wanted to see all their at bats.
Well, yeah, 98, there was no internet, and you had to drop what you were doing, figure out what time McGuire and Sosa were playing that day, and seeing if you can get it on television.
Right, like that was Twitter. They were dropping that live on live
Sports Center.
television, right? Wherever you were watching, they would cut in and be like, all right, we're going to show you their at-bats. But at the time, that was something different. That was something special. Guys approaching Roger Maris was unheard of. Now it's like, okay, I've already seen this game. Like, I feel like they're trying to make it like the 98 thing to get everybody, like, encapsulated by this run, and I feel like it's not working.
I mean, he's basically going to be on national TV in some capacity almost every day for, like, the next 2 weeks, isn't it? Like,
well, I know he's on
Apple
tonight.
TV Plus tonight. They're on Fox TV, I believe, on Saturday. I think they're Sunday Night Baseball on Sunday because they're playing the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is good and bad. I mean, it's on a national stage, so people that want to see it can see it. If you want to watch the history, you can watch it. The second thing is you're not getting the home announcer, so you're getting guys calling these games that don't have a connection with the team.
Well, that's why some people were suggesting that they should kick Steven Nelson out of the booth and put Sterling in.
Well, apparently they offered, and not Sterling, Michael Kay.
Okay.
And Michael Kay declined.
It's probably like a professional courtesy thing.
Yeah,
to
I
say.
mean, I get it. You put him in a bad situation. Hey, man, you want to get on this call, this guy who had this job all year that no one's been watching, by the way, I'm imagining. How many people do you think are watching the Apple TV Plus games? They're not releasing their numbers.
They're not releasing their numbers, which means they're not a lot of people watching. Like Amazon released their numbers for the first game because they were good numbers. I've never seen the numbers for Apple TV.
No, they're not releasing them. And I can't imagine a lot of people are watching them, but they're paying a pretty penny to get these games, and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
This is the night for it. Hey, if you want to watch Aaron Judge tonight, make history possibly, you have to have Apple TV Plus. Why would they give this game up?
They wouldn't.
And this is from Andrew Marchand, who covers sports media stuff for the New York Post. He tweeted out 3 hours ago, ESPN, Major League MLB Network, or no one else, anyone else, will have live look-ins tonight of the game. So it's only going to be on Apple TV Plus. You will not get live cut-ins for any of these at-bats from Aaron Judge.
That's lame. I mean, you're telling me that...
Well, his explanation is, according to MLB,
right,
that just like Fox last night and ESPN Sunday, Apple TV Plus is a free national broadcast and does not need live look-ins elsewhere. If you want to watch the game, you can go to Apple TV Plus and watch it for free.
So, okay, let me get this straight. So, you got live look-ins last night because Fox also had the game? Is that what the theory is?
Yeah, it was only live look-ins on Fox.
Okay. But they could have done MLB Network live look-ins.
They didn't because the game was on Fox.
So if it's a national game, the rule is no live look-ins.
Unless MLB gives the express written consent
Okay.
and says, yes, ESPN, you don't have the game tonight, but you can put the highlight of the game in.
I mean, that's one way they try to force people to watch.
But Apple TV Plus is saying, and they should, by the way.
Spending a lot of money.
Don't make them to be the villain or the bad guy here.
Right. It's not their fault.
No, they bought this package because they want people to buy their service.
Correct.
And now if you want to watch, now Yankee fans have to watch games on Prime almost all season long. Amazon Prime worked out a 20-game Friday night deal with the Yankees this season.
Correct.
So all of their Friday night games, pretty much, were already on Amazon Prime. Now, for whatever reason, this game's on Apple TV Plus. This is just part of the Plus package.
Right. I think it had to do with they grabbed this because it was Yankees Red Sox more so than Judge previously.
So Apple Plus is saying, this is our game. We're not giving it up. You want to watch the game, you're watching it, and that's what you get. I mean, I don't blame them.
I would love to know exactly how many people tune in tonight to that. I would have loved to have seen I know we'll never see the numbers.
Well, the Yankees tweeted out 2 hours ago. Watch tonight's game free on Apple TV Plus. Apple ID required. No subscription required. How to watch. Launch the Apple TV app on your Apple device, smart TV, gaming console, streaming device, or visit tv.apple.com. Tap or click Apple TV Plus Major League Baseball. It is easy to do. Like, once you're in the game, you can get it pretty easily.
Right. Once you already have the user, because I did the whole getting the user thing so I watch the Phillies games. And once you're already signed in and set up, you're good to go. But like you said, Mike, if you want to flip back to the Phillies game, for example, tonight.
That's the one issue.
Can't flip.
That's the one issue that I have.
You're stuck.
Is that your ability to flip back and forth is out.
You're stranded on
I had
that game.
I had a 3-game thing that I was trying to go back and forth through last night.
Do you feel that you got enough of the games that you wanted to watch last night, or do you feel like you missed out?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it wasn't like I was missing
another?
the Eagles game. West Virginia, I'm not 100% invested in this year. They're not very good.
Okay.
33-10. They were winning. So I kind of had an eye on that. Phillies was what I was interested in last night. So I watched Phillies for the most part. From 7 to 8 Phillies. And the game was moving fast because it was a 1-0 game. So 7 to 8 Phillies. First half football, Phillies on the side, back to the Phillies at halftime. And I missed like maybe
a quarter,
2 innings, 3 innings of the Phillies game in the middle.
Okay.
I saw them score. I came back. When I came back, Eflin was pitching.
Yes.
So, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Happy Hour Friday. Sal Powell at 3. Mike McGarry is going to talk a little Phils, NFC East in about 18 minutes. And another chance for you to qualify this hour for Eagles Commanders Monday Night Football tickets. Listen for your cue to call later on in the show. Don't forget, you can watch the show live. You can use the app to watch the show. You can go to our website to watch the show or subscribe to the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. The video provided by BFA Sports. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel to watch high school football tonight. Mainland and Hamilton, and you can watch that game on our website, 97.3 ESPN, produced by BFA Sports. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash.
The excitement of a big play.
Big moment, you got it.
And all the drama of sports.
It's a home run.
All in one place. 97.3 ESPN.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. What's going on, everybody? It is a happy hour Friday. Always enjoy the Friday show. Mike McGarry joins us in just a little bit. Phil's win last night. We got the Eagles this weekend, of course, 97.3 ESPN. The 97.3 ESPN coverage begins at noon. Mero and Mike have the call starting at 1 o'clock. Let's, you take a look at this Eagles game. I want to get, if you're out there listening and you got Eagles Commanders this weekend, is there a level of concern in this game? Or are you already going into this game feeling like playing the Commanders, they're no good, Eagles are going to win based on what we've seen so far, right? I mean, the Eagles are a road almost 8-point favorite in this game. That's like very uncommon in the NFL, a road 8-point favorite. I think it was 7.5 when I saw it last. That's a pretty sizable favorite in this game. And there's so many things in this game that I feel are very, very intriguing. You got Wentz facing the Eagles for the first time. This whole story with Wentz and Hurts, did you see this morning? This whole story about how Wentz treated Hurts when he was here. You know, basically they alluded to, it was like what did they say? Like the guy in high school sitting at the cool kids table and that he wouldn't let like Hurts sit at the table with him essentially. Did you read any of this?
I did not see that, but my first question, just hearing that from you, would be, from what I understand, Wentz wasn't sitting at the cool kids table.
No,
either.
but that's the thing. He was basically, him and Sudfeld, I guess, and Press Taylor would kind of go off and do their thing.
Well,
and
I
they
did
really
hear that before.
weren't including Jalen Hurts. Like, he had no time for Jalen Hurts.
I did know that there was a lot of Wentz and Press Taylor were isolated from Hurts. And Hurts would have to go to Doug Peterson for certain things.
Right.
I remember reading and hearing that back when it was all going down.
Yeah, so they were
by the way,
basically...
you had mentioned back in 2020, Mike, when you and I talked about how you would see Wentz on the bench with the tablet talking to Sudfeld and Press Taylor, and then you have Hurts kind of like looking around the corner like, let me see what's going on over there.
Yeah, they basically made it as if like he did not warm up to Hurts at all. So you wonder how much of this game does Jalen Hurts go into with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder?
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Hey, you treated me like crap when you were here. And basically, I didn't do anything wrong to you. So I'm imagining he wants to go in there and show Carson Wentz that I didn't just take your job because I wasn't good enough or because you failed. I took your job because I'm better than you.
There might be some of that, but I think that when it comes to that emotional stuff, I think Jalen is much better at balancing those kind of emotions than a guy like Wentz is.
No question. But, deep down I'm saying that he
down.
has. But I feel like that my point is, deep down he might have these thoughts and that this really hasn't been brought up all that much, that he kind of got disrespected by Wentz. Like Wentz wanted nothing to do with mentoring him, nothing to do with helping him out, nothing to do with being his teammate. Like I talked about this all the time. Wentz had no reason to not be secure in his position. He just signed a contract. So what? They drafted a guy in the second round. How insecure can you be?
Because he was that insecure.
But that's like the crazy part about this whole thing. It's like the whole point of Jalen Hurts wasn't there to say, like, I'm here to take your job. I didn't ask to be drafted by you. So that's where – and Wentz kind of alluded to this week. He said he didn't handle some things great. Okay, it's easy to say that now. But he
after the
had
fact.
a hard time admitting that when he was here.
Well, of course he had trouble admitting it when he was here because of the fact that he knows deep down that he was wrong. And in the moment he knew he was wrong.
Did he? I don't know that he knew in the moment that he was wrong.
People like Wentz, I think, are passive-aggressive in a lot of their behaviors. And he had shown a tendency because of his, frustrations with how the team loved Nick Foles, his frustrations about...
That was a tough situation, though, for him.
It was a tough situation, but remember we were told originally how him and Foles are good friends, they go to Bible study together, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's, they ain't going to Bible study anymore. Everybody loves Foles. Like, the spitefulness was there way before Jalen got there. It just went to another level.
Here's the part of the article. It says part of the frostiness was innately Wentz. He would huddle up with his pals Nate Sudfeld and quarterback coach Press Taylor in the quarterback's room and ignore others. Quote, it was like you were back in high school with the cool kids table and the nerds table, someone very close to the situation put it a few years ago. Quote, Carson was the captain of the cool kids table. He treat Jalen, really one of the best guys you would ever want to meet, like he wasn't there. Jalen did his work. He kept his head down and paid attention. The other guy wasn't about to lift a finger to help him. What made us all laugh was he just got a boatload of cash. Why was he so insecure about Jalen? The other part of the problem was everyone liked Jalen, not so much the other guy.
It sounds like Foles all over again. It sounds like he was having deja vu, and instead of being an adult about it, he wanted to be a petulant child.
Well, this is the classic, situation of you have a guy who's got a lot of talent, but there's a guy behind him who is making him look bad because he's outworking him. And it's the whole, stop working so hard. You're making me look bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this guy's coming in, just putting his head down, doing his work. And he's saying, I don't care if you like me or not. I'm just doing what I'm told, man.
Right.
And everybody warmed up to that. And Wentz was, like it explained, the cool kid. The guy who was cool in high school sitting at the cool kid table and now is like sitting there admiring everybody else's position in life.
Right. It's like the Mike Posner song, You Think You're Cooler Than Me.
There you go. There's a reference from the old school. Cooler Than Me is Mike, what was it?
Mike Posner.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever happened to him?
That's a good question. I think I only ever saw him do one more song, and that was it.
Yeah.
My aunt's obsessed with that song, so I'll never forget it.
Well, I think that he's probably making some money off that song.
I'm sure he is.
It's a Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Download the app in the Apple Store, Google Play, and, of course, you can watch the show live on our website, 973ESPN.com, or use the mobile app and watch the show live here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Coming up, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. We'll get his impressions of how big that win was for the Phillies last night. Not only the win, but how they got the win. That, plus the NFC East weekend. We got 2 games in the NFC East. Dallas Giants are also playing, and, of course, the Eagles and Commanders, and you can hear both those games on 97.3 ESPN. The Dallas Giant game is our Monday nighter. I'm Mike Gill, and this is the Sports Bash. Don't forget, go to 973ESPN.com and enter to win the ZZ Top tickets. I'm going to announce the winners today on the Sports Bash. Later on tonight, at the end of the show, we'll announce 5 winners for ZZ Top. They are playing Friday night, October 21st at Ocean Casino Resort. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City joins me next on Happy Hour Friday on 97.3 ESPN.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. We've got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be MyRKChevy.com, MyRKKia.com, and MyRKSubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, 2:42 on a busy happy hour Friday. Got Eagles Commanders thoughts on that coming up. Of course, Sal Paolantonio at 3. Right now, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City stops on by. Phil's win last night. What did that win mean? Not only for their place in the wild card, but just the feeling of beating the Blue Jays and the Braves on consecutive nights. Let's bring Mike McGarry in to the conversation. And, man, what a game last night. 1-0. Wasn't the prettiest game, but how important was it to beat the Braves? Not for the standings, but to show, hey, we can get one against the Braves. After we just got one come from behind, we were talking about them leaking oil. Now they got a come from behind win and a hard-fought 1-0 win.
Yeah, I thought last night was a big win exactly for that reason, right? But more importantly, it was the first of a 4-game series against the Braves. And by taking that first game, you sort of take the pressure off the rest of the series. Now you don't have to, if you lose last night, you say, oh my God, we're going to get swept. We're going to get this, that. You win last night. It sort of sets the tone for the rest of the weekend. And I think the win against Toronto and the win last night, they're doing what good teams do, and that's get contributions from up and down the roster, right? Matt Vierling goes 5 for 5, knocks in the winning run the night before. And Zach Eflin, who doesn't feel good for Zach Eflin? He comes out of the bullpen, throws 1 2/3 scoreless innings, key innings, and the Phillies hold up and win that game 1-0. So, and plus the Brewers had won. So now you're still 2.5 up and you take another day off the calendar. It's all positives last night for the Phillies.
And positives, and they found some things out. And I want to get your thoughts, Mike, on how moving, like, because I thought Eflin pitched some pretty key innings there last night. It might not have felt like it, but the way he pitched, how effective he was, the part of the line. I mean, like, what are they going to do with him if they make the playoffs? What kind of role? Because he looks better now than he did when he was pitching. I mean, look, Eflin's good, but he's not like a guy that's like consistently good. He's one of those up and down. He's a little bit better than a Kyle Gibson, but he's up, he's down. He's got 2 good, he's got 2 bad. He's got 3 good, he's got 1 bad. He's got 3 bad. He's almost finding a little niche here these like couple appearances that he's had.
Yeah, I think you're going to see him be a high leverage reliever for the Phillies the rest of the season and in the postseason when they get there. He's a guy who can do what he did last night. And as I wrote on pressofac.com today, he's what every team in a pennant contention going into the postseason wants: a fresh, talented arm. Let's face it, a lot of guys in that bullpen: Sir Anthony, Robertson. About Coonrod, who's down in the minors now, Nelson. That bullpen was leaking, as we've said the last couple times, leaking a little oil, leaking a transmission fluid. Boom, here comes Zach Eflin, a fresh arm to fill some innings. That's huge for that bullpen.
Yeah, Mike McGarry at the Press of Atlantic City, you wrote about Eflin saying, I've been waiting for this moment. I mean, is he kind of relishing that he's got a new role here?
Yeah, well, think about him, just what he's been through, right? It's been 3 months. He's been out with the knee injury. I didn't think he would return this season. I thought his time in Philly was basically over. Look at his past injury history. Knee surgery last year ends his season. A couple years before that, he had knee surgery. He's really he's a talented pitcher, but he's just been a victim of this knee injuries and surgeries. For him to play a big role now in a team driving for the playoffs, I mean, that's a pretty good story, and you can see just how much it meant to him last night.
Yeah, and by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, was he acquired in the Jimmy Rollins trade?
I believe he was, yes. He was traded in the Jimmy Rollins trade. And look, he showed a lot of talent as a starting pitcher, a couple complete games, couple sharp efforts, but it's just been the knee injuries that he just hasn't been able to get past. And this one, I didn't think he'd return to pitch, but he's back and filling a key role, and you got to feel good for him. And he sort of, said last night, I've been waiting for this moment all year, and he delivered last night.
Him and the other guy, too, Alvarado. I mean, I was not an Alvarado guy, but whatever they did to him down in the minors, maybe the minor league guys should come up and start working with guys, because he has completely changed that guy to the point where when they left him in the ninth, I'm thinking, I don't know, what are you doing here? They commented on the broadcast multiple times, like, "Hey, I can't believe Thompson's not going to Robertson here." And AJ Przinsky, who was doing the color, he said, "Hey, the way Robertson's warming up, he's probably going into this game here." Nope, they stuck with him. In fact, the Braves hitter, the 9-hole hitter, Grossman,
right?
They had commented that he's a much better right-handed hitter than he is a left-handed hitter, and they were wondering why the Phillies weren't turning him around. But, hey, Alvarado got the job done. He's a guy that I still don't know if I can trust him. Should I?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. He's pitched great for the past couple of months, but there's always a hold your breath factor, especially if the Phillies were to make the postseason and he goes in there and is in the 7th, 8th inning of has to protect a 1-run lead in the postseason. I still have my doubts. But, Thompson, manager Rob Thompson mentioned last night that they've been trying to progress things out with Alvarado, get him to actually pitch, more than one inning, pitch later in the game. Last night, he gets the final 4 outs. You can't argue with the results. And exactly, with the way Robertson is pitching, I know, you would have thought you would have Robertson against Grossman there, righty against righty. But, I trust Alvarado now maybe more than anybody in that bullpen as far as the way Dominguez and Robertson have pitched the last few times out. So you might be seeing a lot of Alvarado down the stretch here.
I don't know if my ticker can take it, man. I don't know that I can handle that. Holy mackerel. I mean, look, he got bailed out on the strike too, but he gets the pitch and he throws, a fastball. I mean, he hits 100. He's all over the place. He's definitely a wild ride here. And then, man, where are they without Matt Vierling?
Right. Well, that's what I mean by a good baseball teams have guys like this come through. Matt Vierling, 5 for 5 the night before. He gets the sacrifice fly last night. Good baseball teams, as Rob Thompson said the other night, just can't rely on the big boys, the Schwarber, the Harpers, the Hoskins guys. They've got to get contributions from the bottom of the order. And the Phillies are getting that. Not only Matt Vierling, but Dalton Guthrie has had some big at-bats, especially in the win over Toronto. He's had some big at-bats for them. And their contributions are even more magnified because Bryce Harper, they say he's healthy, but his timing is clearly off since he came back. He's such a timing hitter. He just doesn't have it now. I think he's batting like 140 in September. So Harper's going to hit 140 in September as he kind of struggles to come back from the injury and sort of get his timing back. Boy, you're going to need the Matt Vierlings of the world, the Dalton Guthries of the world to get some big hits if Harper is going to hit like he's hitting right now.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Phillies tonight. You got a Nola night. This is, I would imagine, Nola's probably biggest start of his Phillies career.
Yeah, every night Nola goes to the mound in September, it's a referendum on Aaron Nola, right? It's a referendum on is he a good September pitcher? Is he not? All these games right now are probably, like you said, the biggest the Phillies players have ever been in, especially for a team that does not have a lot of guys who have been to the postseason, Nola being one of them. So this is another huge game tonight. And if they could get this one tonight, boy, I think they'd be pretty good shape. What they're just trying to do is stay in a playoff spot, stay that you've qualified for the playoffs and take days off the calendar right now. Every day they're in a playoff spot and a day goes off the calendar is a win for the Phillies.
I want to get some quick thoughts on the NFL weekend. The NFC East has all 4 teams matching up. You got Washington, Philly, Giants, and Cowboys. We'll talk more about the Giants-Cowboys on Monday when you're back. But this Washington-Eagles matchup early, I mean, you're on the road. The Eagles have all of this hype surrounding them. I mean, if you go to try to bet MVP odds, Jalen Hurts has got the 3rd shortest odds in the league right now. Is this a trap game, or is the whole Wentz thing kind of eliminate that? Give me a read on Philly going to Washington.
Well, Mike, as I said the other day to you, I'm the last guy in South Jersey that wants to come on the radio and tell you that the Eagles are a very good team and a Super Bowl contender. Having said that, I would be worried if I'm an Eagles fan about this game on Sunday. Division game on the road, short week, on the road after Monday night. I don't think they're going to go 6-0 in the division. If they're not going to go 6-0 in the division, where are they going to lose? Well, a spot they could lose, it would be on the road in Washington on a short week after a Monday night game. So I still think the Eagles are a very good team. I still think they're a Super Bowl contender. I would not, however, be shocked if they're heading back up the turnpike over the Delaware Memorial Bridge with a 2-1 record after Sunday's game.
Wow. So what about this Washington team would concern you this week?
I just think it's a spot the Eagles are in. I think it's a tough spot. Division game on the road. Wentz doesn't really worry me, but he can make enough plays to help you win. And I just think it's sort of the looking at the overall market. I don't think the Eagles are going to go through the division 6-0. So I look at the 6 games and I say, where can they lose? And this is one of those spots, basically. So it's more about the Eagles and the law of averages than it is, anything that Washington will do special on Sunday.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, did you catch any of the Ben Simmons on J.J. Redick's podcast?
I did. I actually listened to it last night on the drive home from Citizens Bank Park. And I think it's quite clear that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid will not be sitting down for a steak dinner anytime soon, basically.
That was your main takeaway?
Well, I think it's clear that Ben was bothered by what Doc Rivers and Embiid said after Game 7, and that was the Hawks series, and that was clearly the breaking point in the relationship and made him want to get out of Philadelphia. I think he's trying to spin it in the best way he can possibly can. I just think when it comes to Simmons and Embiid, I just think at the end of the day, they weren't a good fit. They weren't going to work together. They almost had to go their separate ways. The team almost had to choose one over the other. They chose Embiid, which is the right choice. And Simmons we'll see going further. My other take of it was, I guess, I think the mental health stuff for him was very real. I think the back injury, was, according to him, was a lot more serious than the general public or was reported on. It sounded like very painful and very difficult to overcome. But I come back to the last time we saw him play basketball, he was shooting 33% from the foul line and was benched in Game 7 because he couldn't be on the court. So we'll see what happens to him going forward. But I just think overall, the bottom line is Simmons and Embiid together was not going to work. It was never going to work. And a choice had to be made, and the Sixers chose Embiid.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Where are you going to be at tonight, Michael?
Actually heading down to Linwood tonight. Great game down there. Hamilton versus Mainland. Don't blink. The game could go quick. Both teams like to run. That means a lot of officials winding their arms, staying bounds, clock moving quickly. Hamilton 4-0. Mainland Regional 3-1. I know it's the first Friday of fall, but we've got playoff implications. As the winner of this game will probably get a first-round home game when the playoffs start about a month from now.
Watch that game on our website, 973ESPN.com. Mike, thanks so much, man.
All right. Have a good weekend, Mike.
You do the same, bud. Mike McGarry's back on Monday. We'll talk more about that giant Cowboys game and get his thoughts on the Phillies weekend. Eagles down in Washington. He feels like maybe the Eagles come back a little beat up after that game. A little surprised to hear. All right, 609-573-3776. Caller 7 right now. You are entered in for a chance to win Eagles Commanders Monday Night Football club box seats. Caller 7, 609-573-3776. Caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776. Good luck.
This
The Claridge Hotel has been around for a number of years. Here at Park Place and the world-famous Atlantic City Boardwalk, just steps away from the beach. So we've had a number of people come through our doors, each with their own style and taste, which is why they chose the Claridge to take their visit to new heights. Book your getaway today at Claridge.com.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
Of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, me too.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
All right, 3 o'clock Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Happy Hour Friday. Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games, Ocean Casino Resort. This football season, cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite teams. Go to the Gallery in Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more info, visit theoceanac.com. You must be 21 or older to play. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You know we'll be there on Monday. And speaking of the Ocean, ZZ Top's going to be at Ocean Casino, and we are going to be there on Monday. We're going to be giving away tickets to ZZ Top tonight, and we'll have those tickets for you at the end of the show. You still have time to enter to win those tickets. Go to 973ESPN.com. Sal Powell is going to be on at 5 o'clock tonight. He had a little snafu with his travel schedule. So Sal Powell will be on at 5 p.m. tonight here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We'll do One Thought every game with Casey Joyner at 4:40 tonight. So 4:40, Casey Joyner, Sal Powell at 5 o'clock tonight. With that, it gives me a chance to take a look at the Phillies schedule, lineup, which is out for a very important game tonight. Let's take a look at it. Right now, Schwarber leads off playing left field. Rhys Hoskins is at first base batting second. Harper, the DH, hits third, so they went back to Harper in the 3-hole. Realmuto, Bohm, Marsh is back in the lineup. He is playing center field. Segura at second, Stott at short, and Vierling in right. So a very interesting lineup tonight for the Phillies. Pitching is Aaron Nola. So you got a Nola day. You've got, look at the lineup there. Harper back in the 3-hole. Bohm, who had been in the 3-hole the last couple days, he goes back to the 5-hole now. And they really got to get something going with the Hoskins, Harper, Bohm trio. Realmuto has held up his end of the bargain. You know, Schwarber's been kind of hit or miss all season long, but he's been more missed than hit in this recent streak here. Getting Marsh back, they put him a little higher in the lineup. Segura, Stott, they're moving down to the 8th spot. You know, Stott had been bouncing around the lineup. I mean, there was a time he was hitting in the 3-hole when there was some injuries, but now they've kind of moved him all the way back. And then Vierling, who has come up with a lot of big hits in the last couple of nights, he is hitting 9th and playing right field. So this is probably the best Phillies lineup outside of getting Castellanos back that you're going to get in, you know, as close to full strength in a while. So there you go. You got Harper. They got to get the Hoskins, Harper, Bohm thing going here.
It's also a much better defensive lineup than we had earlier this year with the Phillies. You know, one of the issues earlier in the year, remember, Mike, we talked about was this team sacrificed defense for hitting, right? Well, now when you got Marsh in center and you got Vierling in right, you have a much better outfield behind Nola.
Better defensive outfield, no questions asked. The difference is, you know, when Castellanos was hitting pretty well when he got hurt. He had not had a great season. No one's going to sit here and say that he had anywhere close to a season that he had last year. But he was starting to give the lineup some length. He was starting to give the offense a little bit of extra boost in the middle to bottom half, that 6 area. And they don't really have that guy right now. Somebody's got to get going, whether it be, you know, Marsh had been hitting well. Marsh has been hitting well since he's come over. He hasn't been. He can. He's got some power. I think he's had a 25-homer season when he was with the Angels or somewhere. Like, he approached that in California. And, well, I guess L.A.'s in California.
They are in California.
Yes. Well, they were the California Angels when I was a kid.
Yeah, the 90s. Chuck Finley.
They should have stayed
Tim
the California
Salmon.
Angels. But at the same time, I don't think he strikes fear in – like, as much as Castellanos has struggled, I think people still understand that this guy had a 30-plus home run season in him, and he can take me long at any time. That's the big difference. I don't think people are as concerned with Brandon Marsh, but, hey, who knows? I think if you've seen a lot of video of what they've done with Marsh, they kind of have him squatting down a little bit more. They have him kind of squatted in his stance, lowered a little bit. And I think he's been, since he's come to Philadelphia, correct me if I'm wrong, that he has hit over 300 since he's got here.
In Philadelphia, he has a 281 batting average. With the Angels, he had a 226.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah. So what was his best what did I say? He had 20-some home runs. No, what am I thinking about? He had 10 homers was his best season?
Yeah. Well, he hasn't been in the major leagues for long.
I know that. He's only 24 years old.
Yeah.
Why did I feel that he had a 20-home run season one year?
I'm going to go into minor league history and find out.
Maybe I would say maybe he had a big season in the minors then. That he has shown power somewhere in the past. No, not necessarily. Maybe
no, he had 210 home run minor league seasons.
Yeah, that's not big home run power there. Well, I must have him confused with Mike Trout, maybe.
Maybe.
They played on the same team, right? Tim in Millville. Oh, yeah, happy hour Friday. I got me a nice Cape May IPA coastal evacuation, baby. Ready to crack that bad boy open tonight, Tim. And everybody out there, always on a happy hour Friday, let us know what you're having this weekend. I need a new brew. PT bought me that brew, that Maryland Mike thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. Have you tried it yet?
Yeah, I tried it the other night. It was on my Instagram. If you went to my Instagram, I sampled it over there. It's an 8.8er, man.
But was it good?
Yeah, it was solid. It was solid, I would say.
Okay.
I wouldn't go to a bar and order it.
Okay, so you're not going out of your way to order, but if someone handed it to you, you'll drink it.
If you gave me it, now PT bought it for me. That was
Right.
very kind of him.
But you know the delineation I'm talking about. It's the delineation of you might not order something, but if someone buys it for you, then you're like,
Yeah,
right.
like I'm not going to the bar and ordering it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's, you know what it is? It is a double hazy IPA, but it's a pale ale. I'm not a big pale ale guy.
I like some pale ales.
It's the thought that counts, so I thank Pete Thompson for thinking of me. He knows I like an IPA, and I do. It's more of a pale ale than it was what I'm into.
So it's probably closer to my range.
And the fact that it was 8.8.
So the 8.8 really was like a down.
Well, that's a heavy beer, man.
It's a heavy beer, but I mean.
Well, you know what happened was the Phillies were getting lambasted on Tuesday night, so I was like,
so
they're driving me to drink.
Once the Blue Jays got to 10 runs, you were like, I'm gonna crack this thing open.
Right. Yeah.
That's great.
All right, so we got a couple things switching here. So PT is going to jump on for Happy Hour Friday here in a second, right? Casey's going to what, 4:40?
4:40.
And Sal Pal's going to 5. All right, so I'm just making sure that I got that all lined up. Because I got the text.
Redirecting traffic here.
Yeah, well, I got the text from Sal Pal, and he said, look, my travel plans kind of got changed around. I can't do 3. He asked if he could jump on at 4, and I said, football at 4, you can't jump on. So he said, how's 5? And I said, that works. Mike, I criticized the Schwarber signing, and then the home runs are impressive, but that's the only thing that's impressive. Schwarber is Adam Dunn, and no one was impressed by Adam Dunn.
I wouldn't say no one was impressed by Adam Dunn. It's kind of an aggressive take.
Yeah. Well, I get what he's saying. I've been critical of Schwarber too, but I think here's the difference, and this is where I disagree with that comment. Adam Dunn was in a different spot in the lineup. I don't like where the Phillies are hitting Schwarber right now. I don't have a problem with them hitting leadoff. This team doesn't have a leadoff hitter. But I think that Schwarber's numbers would look more impressive
if he was like a cleanup
if he was
hitter.
hitting in the 4 or 5 spot. His home run numbers are big, but nothing else really is all that impressive because he's hitting in the spot in the lineup where his RBIs aren't that high and all that stuff.
I mean, Adam Dunn had 600 RBI seasons.
Because he was hitting exactly. He was hitting in a spot in the lineup that allowed him to drive a lot of runs in with his home runs. The problem with Dunn, and this is the problem I have with Schwarber, here's the difference. When Adam Dunn was playing, batting average meant a lot more. People don't care about batting average as much, but I do. You can't be hitting, Kyle Schwarber is hitting in the leadoff spot.
He's saying 222 or something like that?
He is hitting 214, I think.
Worse than I thought.
214 is unacceptable. But because he's hitting in the leadoff spot, it's even worse. If he's hitting in the middle of the lineup and he's hitting 40 homers, he has 85 RBI right now. But imagine if he had 40 home run and 100 RBI right now.
Right, you feel a little better about it.
You would feel a little differently about him.
Is that really where the Phillies have to go?
But I don't. But my point is, I don't think saying I criticize and I'm right. No, I think Kyle Schwarber has been a big contributor to this team. Even with his 214 batting average, his on-base percentage is not very good either, but it's 100 points higher than his batting average. His problem to me is that he's hitting in the wrong spot in the order on this particular team, but they don't have anybody else to hit in that spot. But I don't think he's Adam Dunn.
Well, Adam Dunn had, according to Baseball Reference, was it 38 home run seasons minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, we're acting like Adam Dunn was
Yeah, but Adam Dunn was one of those guys you looked at as an all-or-nothing guy, much like Schwarber right now. Hit or miss, home run or strikeout. I like, to me, he's minimizing the impact that Schwarber has had on this team, I think. There's times where Schwarber has carried this team. It is the classic, I said he wasn't that good, and I want to say that I'm right. Instead of saying, you know what, I said that Schwarber's signing wasn't going to be all that good. He's better than I anticipated. Even though he hasn't been great, he's better than I anticipated. No, this is the opposite. This is, I want to say he stinks because I said he was going to stink.
Well, it's like I said recently on Twitter. I said, an adult, a smart man, evolves his opinions and his perspectives with more information. You may say something in February. It doesn't mean it's going to be true all year. You have to evolve and grow in your perspective. And, maybe several months ago, we looked at the Kyle Schwarber signing. For example, a lot of Philly fans wanted Chris Bryant, right? That was the whole thing. Chris Bryant and Bryce Harper are good friends. You remember that whole thing, Mike?
Yeah.
And then they signed Schwarber and Castellanos instead. And the theory was that these two guys combined are going to give you the production you would have gotten from Chris Bryant. Well, Chris Bryant's been injured part of the year in Colorado, and as you mentioned, Kyle Schwarber carried this team for 2 months, and Castellanos hit 300 in August.
The biggest thing around this is this team has not had the whole team together going at the same time.
Correct.
That has been one of the problems. Schwarber carried them. Castellanos got hot. If you remember back at the beginning of the year, Castellanos was the only guy hitting. Nobody else was hitting. And Schwarber started to hit. When they went on that 8-game win streak, Schwarber started to hit. And then you had the time when Harper was carrying the team. Bohm got going when he got really hot. Harper, Hoskins has had some moments. But you haven't had 2 and 3 of them at the same time. And that has been a frustrating thing. But then, again, that's the classic. I said he wasn't going to be good. And therefore, I'm viewing him as not being good.
And everybody give me credit, even though no one can verify that I said fill in the blank at point in time.
Mike, Dogfish Head, low-cal IPA, 90 calories with the IPA taste. That's that Slightly Mighty, I believe.
I like the Slightly Mighty.
Yeah, the Slightly Mighty is okay. You know, when people come to my house, when people come to your house, they like to bring beer.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I brought you this. And they know that I generally will drink the low-cal, low-carb IPAs. So everybody by default brings me Slightly Mighty. So I have a whole fridge filled with Slightly Mighty.
And what happens is Mike Gill invites me over to the house and hands them to me.
Yeah, they all go to Josh when he comes over. Josh, I have a whole fridge of Slightly Mighties for you.
So,
not that I don't appreciate the Slightly Mighties. I like them.
But not that much.
People just keep bringing them to us because we're always like, yeah, something low-cal, low-carb. Right. And that's the one that has probably the best marketing. Mike, how come Hoskins is still in the 2-hole? I don't have the answer to that question. I hate it. I just don't like it.
I want Segura at the top of the lineup. I don't like him where he's hitting now.
All right, let's do Happy Hour Friday. PT's here. We had to scramble a couple things all over the place, but the PT was nimble, I should say, enough to get on the stream for a little. I didn't want to not have the PT on the Happy Hour Friday, PT.
Can you hear me?
Right?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, excellent. I nimble enough, sure. Yeah, nimble enough to somehow get my way on.
And I know that you were probably sitting there, maybe even thinking about taking a nap. If I know you well enough. You had a big chicken pot pie soup for lunch.
It was an excellent soup. This is what I'll tell you. The soup is not a meal, Jerry, but in this case, the soup was a meal.
Well, listen, we're short on time, but I wanted to make sure we get Happy Hour Friday. People love the Happy Hour Friday segments because we bounce all over the place. Give me the PT setup last night. You had football, Phillies, all the 9 yards going here. What did you have?
I'll tell you what, I think my setup was good, and yet I think you were disappointed that I abandoned one of the sports. I didn't watch the NFL at all. I didn't watch a single moment of the Pittsburgh and Cleveland game. I monitored it on my phone. I was looking at your West Virginia on my phone, but I basically stuck with the Phillies also because they were on Fox, and Fox, Kenny Albert was on there with A.J. Brzezinski, and they would switch over to the Aaron Judge at-bats. So I wanted to see. Oh, yeah, very much so. I thought that was outstanding,
Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier. I saw – there was a moment in the Phillies game that they cut to the Judge in a pretty key spot in the Phillies game, and I was like, yo, what are you doing? I don't want to see this.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I wanted to see – if I have a chance to see history, I want to see history. I'd rather see it live as it happens than have to see a replay or a recap or anything like that.
I guess I'm not feeling the history here for whatever reason. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's grabbing me.
Well, and it's interesting because I heard Bob Costas on today when I was coming to have lunch with you, and he was on with Greeny this morning at the end of the show, and he was talking about how everybody, you were glued to those at-bats in 98. And I remember that distinctly, having to tune in and see that. And yet we now know that that's clouded under the shroud of the steroid era.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't bother me all that much, the old steroid thing. I was watching the games. I was having a blast. I watched every at-bat. We made sure we were in front of the TV no matter what day of the week. We made sure we found it. I mean, I remember those things. It's not like something I'm like, I don't remember that because but this, for whatever reason, is just not grabbing me at all. And I guess it's the whole mentality of the way everybody hit. It's home run or nothing. This guy's going for the Triple Crown, too, by the way. I think that is more impressive that's not getting talked about.
Right. And I know Costas talked about that as well, the fact that the Triple Crown aspect of it. And Aaron Judge is very likable. And it's sort of surprising that, here's a guy who doesn't have any whiff of controversy around him. In fact, my girlfriend looked up, I guess his girlfriend at the time, now wife, had some issue. And he was like, whoa, and like shut that down real quick in the beginning of his career. So, I mean, the guy should be on the Wheaties box, but nobody follows the Wheaties box anymore. The guy should be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, but nobody gets Sports Illustrated anymore. And the guy should be commanding your attention, I think, for each at bat. I watched. You did.
All right, PT. Phillies, though, they win last night, and that was monumental win, right? I mean, they had to have that game, and I think it really now the next night starts, you have to win this game too. But the fact that the Brewers won, and the Brewers are playing 4 against the Reds while you're playing 4 against the Braves, I think this is a huge moment in this season right here.
Very pivotal series to me. You had said earlier, I think on Tuesday, that if they get 2 out of 4, you'd be thrilled and happy. The fact that they got 1 to start off with against a good pitcher last night in Fried and were able to grind it out. I mean, to make a 1-0 win, lead, stand up and hold up is pretty unbelievable. It felt like a playoff game. And so, the Brewers are playing the Reds, but the numbers work in the Phillies' favor. If they are able to keep winning, October baseball will be here.
Well, listen, you win the game last night. It's a game after you beat the Blue Jays on the come from behind. So those are 2 very kind of like listen, they know that people are questioning them. They know that people don't believe in them. Look at the bleachers. There's nobody there. I mean, last night, empty, PT. You show me another pennant race where nobody's showing up to the team's game.
It's crazy. Now, what do you think tonight? Because it's a Friday night, so you'd think that attendance would be boosted. But then at the same time, especially, let's say you live down here. What are you doing on Friday night? Well, you're at the end of your work week. You're trying to get home, figure out what's for dinner. Do you have kids' sports to go to? Are you going to the mainland Hamilton game? Are you going to, is there a soccer game at 4 that you have to be at right now? And by the time you get home, you don't feel like turning on the TV. You're certainly not going to Citizens Bank Park. I mean, I know these are all excuses, but the reality is that people are not bought in yet.
All those things are all good questions. 8 million people live in the Philly and the surroundings area even more. They could find 25,000 of them to go watch this team play. They're winning games in September. They have 3 home games left, tonight, tomorrow, and the next day, and that could be it. If you don't believe in them now, when are you?
Exactly. And I think tonight they'd get 25, on a Friday night. I think for sure they'd. But
people talk about, it's too hot. Well, tonight's a kind of a chilly night. This is the night you want to go to the ball game with your hoodie on. It feels like October baseball. And guess what? The team kind of needs it out there. It helps to have that atmosphere last night in the 9th inning. Big moments of the game. I'm like, where's the crowd? Let's go. Let's get it. Nothing, man.
Well, there was nobody there to be the crowd. I mean, and I'll say this too, by the way, and I don't like to take shots at the people that serve my food, but if you're the hot chocolate person tonight, you better get extra packets or get extra water ready because, people are going to want their hot chocolate. Come on.
Pete Thompson give you the hot chocolate takes. Okay, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN.
It's delicious.
Give me the way that you see this Eagles-Commanders game going, PT. How's it going down on Sunday?
I think it's going to be a close game, and I think that Carson Wentz has found some life in throwing the football down there. I think that both Dotson, the rookie kid out of Penn State, Samuel, Terry McLaurin always has a good game against the Eagles, it seems. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. We get that question all the time, you and I do. So what do you think the score is going to be? What do you think the score is going to be? And your take on it was great. If I knew what the score was going to be, I'd be retired on an island in Tahiti because I'd get it right every single week. But I'm saying 27-24 Eagles. I think it's close, but I think they win.
27-24 24 Eagles. That is the PT's pick here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN and Happy Hour Friday with the PT. Is brought to you by Boardwalk Honda in Egg Harbor Township. Shop their entire inventory online anytime at boardwalkhonda.com. From Maine to Miami, nobody beats a Boardwalk deal. All right, PT, we had a couple things to shuffle, but you came in a big spot there. You were like Dalton Guthrie there. Came off the bench and got a base hit.
Not Woody Guthrie here. Dalton Guthrie. That's right. And his walk-up music, which, by the way, is Snow by Red Hot Chili Peppers, not Hey-O.
Somebody tweet a at-bat where his father, Mark Guthrie, was pitching to Darren Dalton.
Wow, back in the day.
Yeah, and Harry Callis says, the 1-1 from Mark Guthrie.
Good Harry. Harry.
Hard to believe, Peter.
I'm glad you enjoyed that hazy IPA, my friend.
It was okay. It wasn't like I wasn't wowed. I mean, listen, I said it was very thoughtful. Just because you got the beer from me doesn't mean I have to enjoy it, right?
No, God, no. I mean, and you know what? That came in a 4-pack.
I did not enjoy it. It just wasn't. I was excited, too. I was like, this could be a great, and I just thought it was okay.
Yeah, it came in a 4-pack. I gave one to you. I kept one for myself. I gave one to Michael, and I gave the last can to someone that works at the radio station that you and I both know. And I will tell you what, you're the only one of the 4 that have drank the beer.
Oh, well.
Everybody else is holding it onto it like a tchotchke.
You can thank the Phillies for driving me to drink on Tuesday night.
We'll see what happens tonight. See you, buddy.
All right, there's a Happy Hour Friday with PT here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Coming up, Ryan Rothstein gives us his thoughts. I want to get into his thoughts on the Benson. You know he's a big Sixers guy. I want to hear his thoughts on this Ben Simmons interview. We'll get his thoughts on the Phillies. Is he buying in? Because I know he's been bailing. And, of course, our picks on the Eagles, Commanders, football at 4, Sal Powell at 5, Adam Caplan, Anthony Armstrong, former Commanders wide receiver. Oh, well, he didn't play for the Commanders because they've only been called the Commanders for 2 games. But he'll join us coming up from Believe in the Commanders on the Believe Network. More Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles. You want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
ESPN.
All right, 331 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're brought to you by East Coast Roofing, Siding, Windows, serving all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. What a concept. Visit them online at eastcoastroofing.com. Crazy enough, I've heard so many stories about people. I called the guy, never showed up. You know how that goes. Ryan Rothstein is the host of the Philadelphia City Cast. He joins me now. We got a lot to jam into about a half an hour here. As, by the way, I like to kind of get everybody's setup for these Thursday nights when you got multiple games going. So what did you do last night? How'd you have it all set up?
I went 2 TVs. So I had the football game on one, and then I had the Phils on the other.
No, you went you have two TVs in the living room.
What's that?
You have 2 TVs in the living room?
Not normally, but when it calls for it, I just carry the one smart TV over and put it right under the one that's mounted, and I feel like I'm in a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Who had the sound?
What's that?
Who gets the sound?
Yeah, that's the one tough decision. I typically last night left it on the football game because baseball, I don't really need the play-by-play as much as the football game.
Okay. So Phil's win last night. They come from behind and beat the Blue Jays. To raise your level of interest at all?
No. Not even
crazy,
a little bit.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I know.
You feel bad about that?
No, I don't.
Now, Like, if they went to the playoffs, you're going to watch, like, intently or just like, eh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a playoff game, first time in a decade, it's what we've all been, complaining about, yearning for, etc. So,
but aren't these the games that, like, help you get there?
I need help getting there, right?
No, I'm saying, aren't these the games that you, like, watch to help you get there, like, get you ready for that moment?
Yeah,
like, there was a moment last
right?
night. Well, there was a moment because the game was on Fox last night, and like Minter's pitching, he's like the lefty with the mullet, and he's like this tough lefty, and Harper's like fouling him off. The problem was there was no drama because nobody there. I was like, this atmosphere sucks for this at bat right now. It's like 8th inning, Minter, lefty, just fastball fouled, fastball fouled, fastball fouled. He's fouling him off. He's working him. Now he ends up striking out, but the whole point is, normally, people are on their feet, they're into it, and the place is jamming. Not a soul in that place. Like, it was freaking horrible atmosphere.
It's embarrassing, and I'm part of the problem. I'll admit it, right? Like, I'm not.
But at least you say that. There are other people, like, making excuses. That's too hot. No, you're saying I'm just part of it. I'm part of the problem. I like that answer.
There's only a few home games left.
3. Three.
Right, exactly. 3. Sorry, three to your point to make it even bigger. 3 home games remaining. Regardless of what they've looked like leading up to this point, they're in a position to finally get into the postseason. And there's zero support. It's a disgrace. Like, if I'm a player and all those players that went to the Monday night game, I'm looking up at Citizens Bank Park, empty seats, like, this is Philly sports. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke.
I'm glad you brought it out like that because, like, a lot of people are, like, trying to make excuses. And I'm like, there's no excuse. It's just a joke. It's a joke of a fan base. Phillies fans think they know baseball. They think they like baseball. They really don't.
No, they don't. They don't care. They can care less. They'd rather save up their money and go to an Eagles game.
Pretty much. That's a good point. They'd rather pay $500 for a ticket to go to an Eagles game.
100%. If we did a random poll, I would say 7 out of 10 Philly sports fans would have that answer, if not more.
All right, let's move to – I know you have a lot of thoughts on this Ben Simmons. I've saw so many mixed comments. I think people who just don't like Ben want to say, go one way. And then other people, like, I think, looked at it another way. And then, so do I think he came off horrible? No. Do I think he came off great? Not necessarily. But I think there was a balance in between of now already Austin Rivers has kind of come out and said his stories are made up. Some of the stuffs aren't true. So it's kind of hard. Like the whole thing, I guess, with the cell phone in his pocket, I think Rivers is saying that wasn't true, that, about him getting thrown out of practice that day, that whole thing. But there were some moments, like, I don't know, the thing about the guy in the candy store. He's like, dude, that happened like over a month ago. And this guy, like, edited the whole thing up, and he's, like, saying that I tried to pay to have the thing done. He's like, how would I have paid to rent the place out? You were in there.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. And I believe Ben for that story. But, like, whatever. It's so tough. I have such, like, a mixed review on that episode because for the first time, this is my one takeaway. I'll give him my guest credit for this. He showed personality. Like, I actually enjoyed listening to him. Maybe he needs some glasses of wine, every time he talks behind a microphone. I don't know, but you saw him smiling, laughing. You saw some personality for the first time ever, right? I have never seen that dude show a glimpse, a drop of any type of personality. I saw it for the first time on that JJ Redick podcast, The Old Man and the Three. So I like that. I'm not buying everything he's selling us because I would be somewhat of an idiot, I think, in my opinion, if I did buy everything that he was saying in defense of himself. There's some things he didn't take the blame for, like, well, I'm one of the strongest dudes on the team. I'm getting fined for not showing up to lifting. Like, bro, what do you – like, you're an all-star, right? You want – like, come on. Do we really have to explain the problem here? And you're defending and deflecting. It's like – he's still very arrogant and cocky. He said some of the right things as far as I wouldn't be the man I am today if I hadn't made those mistakes, gone through what I went through. I'm mentally in a better place because I, went and seeked help. we'll see, right? This is his last chance, I think, to maybe win people over and show that he's evolved.
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was a couple of moments where, he was like saying, like, I have to show restraint when people do this. He's like, I type out a tweet and then I erase it. And then so like he is aware of like, but he's like, listen, like, then he went back to the default, like, I do so many other things well. Like, I don't understand how people don't get that. Like, I wish he would have been more like, he did say, and I don't know if you're going to believe this or not, he did say that he does plan on shooting this year. I don't know if that's going to come to fruition or not, but like he was like, yeah, I have to. Like, I have to.
Yeah, I don't. I'll believe it when I see it. We've heard him say that before, haven't we, MG?
I don't know that well, yes, but the fact that he's saying it with like, I don't know, because he was asked, like, do you think the shooting thing just got so manifested because it was in Philly? And he was like, yeah, like, I'll post a picture of my dog and they go after me. Like, you should be working out. Like, I can't walk my dog. Like, the whole thing of him kind of like understanding that, like, because he was in Philly, that everything just was magnified so much more. Like, I think he got that.
Yeah, I agree, but it took a turn, and that's where I think he's failed to acknowledge that. Like, there was plenty of people in the Philly area, Philly fans, Philly media members, that defended him and always understood what he brought to the game. I mean, I'm a Ben Simmons hater. I think when it's all said and done, but I'm not an idiot when it comes to basketball. Like, he's a freak. He brings a lot of positives to the game when he's on the floor, but dude, you have to be aggressive. You have to shoot when it's needed to keep the defense honest. You talk and brag about this high basketball IQ that you have. I question that to a degree, because you just need to admit where your shortcomings are and try and improve them. So it's a little bit of shut up, dude. You're just a liar. And part of it is also I respect and appreciate some of his answers, I guess.
Yeah, I guess some of the parts, he did get into the whole, look, I was in a really dark place, I just had no motivation. I think like what you did here is a guy who was going through some stuff but didn't want to come to terms with it, which is kind of like I've always hinted at. Like, I think that thing with his sister, he just doesn't want to talk about. And I think it really was a huge problem for him of dealing with that whole situation. And then that all happened before the Hawks series. As he kind of said, like, leading into that, I just wasn't in the right spot. Right. And then even afterwards, when he said, like, listen, Doc, like, I'm not really ready for this.
Yeah. The problem is, like, that sounds completely understandable, and it sounds like he did all the right things, but I'm sure there's so much other context that he left out, like, quote, the other side of the story. It's like you could have called Doc a month before they had to drag you into practice, right? Like, how do you think they're going to handle that when you weren't answering texts, you weren't answering calls? The narrative is you want to get traded, requested a trade. Like, it's kind of hard to believe you. It's like the boy that cried wolf when you get dragged into training camp and you're like, well, I'm really not ready. It's like you could have gone about it differently. And he did say that. He said, I made mistakes.
Right. Well, he did say, he said, I wish I would have handled it better. They would have handled it better. I think it's clear that him and Joel don't get along very well. Would you agree?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I think it's clear as day. They're not even remotely friendly or
Which
civil.
is fine, right? But it's unfortunate that it got to that point. Like, I feel like Ben probably handled things poorly. I think Joel probably handled things poorly as well. Like, I think both sides, and he acknowledged both handled it. Like, but JJ made the comment, like, irreconcilable differences. Like, I think that was where they were at. Like, these two sides were not going to be able to coexist.
Yeah, I think it was just a million tiny little BS things over 3, 4, 5 years that just boiled over. And it was just irreconcilable. I think that was the best way to put it. But it was funny to me, MG, where you saw him so happy and excited, reminiscing about the run where they won 16 straight games. I was just starting with you during that run, so I remember it vividly.
I think he was going out of his way again to make sure that it was well documented that was the most fun he was having and that Joel was not there.
Yes. And I remember conversations, debates throughout the city well, maybe Ben's better without Joe and maybe Joe's better without Ben. We used to have those debates all the time. And I think we have those answers now that Ben clearly would have rather played with, 4 shooters than play with Joel Embiid. I think that was evident from relatively the start.
All right, Ryan Rothstein is the host of the Philadelphia CityCast. I want to get into some bets, some football coming up on the other side. We'll do that right here on the Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. Speaking of the bets, if you're going to do it with Caesars Sportsbook. First things first, your first bet with Caesars Sportsbook. It's on Caesars up to $1,250. Download the app and use the promo code RadioFull and then place your first bet. If you win, congrats. If not, you get your stake back as a free bet anyway. It's open to new users in Jersey who are 21 or older. If qualifying bet loses, the bet amount will return as a credit. You must use that credit within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Caesars Sportsbook, you bet. You get a couple plays free on the other side. We'll get Ryan's best bets, thoughts on the Eagles and Commanders, all that and more. Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app and streaming. Live video. Watch the show on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel powered by BFA Sports.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. We've got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be MyRKChevy.com, MyRKKia.com, and MyRKSubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
3:49 Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. What's going on? Football at 4 coming up in 11 minutes from now. Ryan Rothstein is the host of the Philadelphia CityCast, and he's back for another segment here as we take a look at some of the betting numbers coming up this weekend. I got my favorite plays. You can listen to Believe in the Bets. My podcast is out. Check out my favorite plays of the weekend. I go one betting thought every game, and my favorite plays at the end. This week's guest was Eitan Shander, who gave us his 3 favorite plays of the week. Eitan is now with Props and Locks on Fox 29 and Odd Shopper. And, of course, Ryan Rothstein's got the Philadelphia CityCast, so I'll let you give your betting plays and all that kind of good stuff, too. Plus, we got to get your – I didn't get PT's pick because he threw me off base day. We got to get your Survivor Pool pick.
Oh. All right, do we start with birds? What do you want to start with?
Yeah, give me some birds thoughts here.
Yeah, this game is interesting. I mean, some betting numbers we can start with, and I'll give you my thoughts on the score. Heavy handle and wagers overall coming in on the Eagles. 57. No, I'm sorry, that's for the total. I'll get to that in a second. 78% of the bets on the Eagles laying the points. 77% of the money also on the Eagles laying the points. As far as the total, this is where it's a little bit split. You look at 57% of the bets, they're taking the over, yet 72% of the money going with the under. So that typically tells us, not always, but typically tells us sharp actions going with the under. The majority of the average Joe bettor, the betting public, going with the over, the sharps going with the under. I'd ride with the sharps. I like a lower scoring game. I think it's going to be an ugly game. Like, it's a road game. Yes, there's going to be a lot of Eagles fans there, but coming off an emotional Monday night football win, now you're getting a 1 p.m. Sunday start, first divisional game early in the year. This is going to be tough, man. This is going to be challenging. And as far as the spread goes, I am not laying 6.5. It got all the way up to 7, but I would take Washington with the points. You look at the Eagles, they are 14-22 against the spread since 2016. Nick Sirianni, going back to last year, is 1-4-1 against the spread versus the division. I can see the Eagles winning a close game. I can also see them losing this game. So 6.5 is just way too many points for me to lay, Mike.
All right. The number to me as a road favorite was pretty hefty. Yesterday, in fact, when I recorded the pod, they were 7.5. So I guess you're saying it has since moved, but it was 7.5 when I recorded. So I'm seeing it at 6.5 right now. So it got bet down. It looks like people are agreeing with you that the Commanders getting 7.5 at home was a little too pricey there. All right, you got any other weekend bets for the people?
Yeah, there's a couple player props I like for the Eagles game. Old Reliable, as I call it. Take the over on Jalen Hurts' total rushing yards, set at, depending on where you look, I have it at 53.5. He obviously had 90 in week 1 in Detroit. He followed it up with 57 in the week 2 home opener. So I'm riding that until proven otherwise. That's been, I think, quite literally the best player prop play going back to the start of last season. I also like the over for Miles Sanders rushing yards. Week 1, 96. Week 2, 80. Set right around 63.5, depending on where you shop. I think Miles Sanders is going to continue to get over that number. So I like both of those plays. They're my 2 favorite prop plays.
Yeah, I like that play. Washington's defense, by the way, has struggled against the run this year. So that's a good one. The Commanders are allowing 7.5 yards per carry. It's the highest through 2 games in the entire NFL since 1951. So there's a little backing for your play there. All right, so give me your, by the way, PT texts in Kansas City is his pick.
Kansas City.
Survivor pick, Kansas City against Indianapolis.
What's your pick?
This is a tough one this week. I got to tell you, there's a lot of evenly matched games, right? Isn't there like a lot of these games that you're just like, I don't know what to do in this spot? I'm going to go, I think what I'm going to do in this one, this is going to be a little outside the box here, but I'm going to go Seattle against Atlanta.
Seattle against Atlanta.
Yeah,
what was
Seattle's
my
at
week
home.
1 pick? I already forget.
You cannot use Tennessee or the Rams.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
You're going Bengals against the Jets.
Yep.
And Josh?
Pete stole mine. I'm going with the Chiefs over the Colts.
All right, Kansas City. Josh is 2-0. Ryan and I are 1-1. Pete Thompson is 0-2. The person with the best record at the end will get a free dinner from the other three. Josh already won the entire Survivor pool, so he's getting one free dinner. He's playing for a second free meal from the three of us. By the way, my
he's
favorite
playing
place.
for dessert.
Yes, he gets a cherry on top. My favorite place this weekend, by the way, I like Tennessee as a home dog against the Raiders. Jacksonville on the road getting a touchy boo. I like Tampa Bay, too short for me, -1. I think that's a good number for Tampa at home. Kind of like the Bears, -2.5, by the way.
Interesting. I was riding with Green Bay. They were up to like 2.5. It's down to 1.
Yeah, I had a guy text in that said he listened to my podcast, took 2 of my 3 best bets because he liked Green Bay, and I have Tampa. I hope he makes money on the other 2. All right.
We'll see.
All right, man.
All right, brother.
All right, Ryan Rothstein, Philadelphia CityCast. Hey, right now, I need caller number 7, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776. Caller 7. You have a chance to win Eagles Commanders club box seats for Monday Night Football at Lincoln Financial Field. Eagles Commanders. Caller 7. You must be present to win on Friday, October 28th at Garden State Beer Company. Football at 4. Good luck.
The Claridge Hotel has been around for a number of years. Here at Park Place and the world-famous Atlantic City Boardwalk, just steps away from the beach. So we've had a number of people come through our doors, each with their own style and taste, which is why they chose the Claridge to take their visit to new heights. Book your getaway today at Claridge.com.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all that Claridge has to offer.
Seven 3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Caplan.
I have real confidence that our football operations can once again create a dominant football team.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, and it is sponsored by EMT Solar and Roofing. See if your home qualifies for a free roof with solar installation. No commitments, no hidden fees. Go to ESPNsolar.com to see if you qualify. Adam Caplan from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. The Inside the Birds pre- and post-game show on their social media channels. Adam can tell you more about where you can find them this weekend as they get you ready for Eagles and Commanders. Commander Caplan, how are you?
Hey, man, good to talk to you, Mike. Yeah, so our pregame show will be live in person if you want to go at Rivers Casino in South Philly. And then we do the post-game show, and that, by the way, that's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We always start around 3 hours before the game. We start at the top of the hour. We don't do it like, even if there's a game at 4:30, we're going to do it. We're going to start at like 1 Eastern when they play at 4 o'clock. So then we've got I'm going to say, Mike, 15 minutes after the game, we'll be on myself, Jeff, and Trey Thomas for the post-game show. The pregame is me and Mosher. Greg Gosell's back this week. Trey filled in for him. And then it's also Jason Avant is tremendous. And he had some great stuff on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in our show last week. He broke down his tape and said, look, he had to be better for this game against Minnesota, and he was.
Well, obviously he'll be a factor this week because you're going to get a team and a guy in Carson Wentz that likes to throw it around. We'll get to that in a minute. But let's take a look at the health of these two teams. The Eagles very healthy as they enter this game. Not a lot of guys on the injured list for Philadelphia. And, you take a look at basically it seems like everybody's ready to go, right?
Yeah, barring something like the team, Mike. They're all going to be ready to roll. Washington's got a lot of players that are banged up. A couple will miss. Chase Roulier will not play their starting center. He went on IR. He might not even come back this season. They don't know yet. Wes Schweitzer should play. He could play center or guard. He's played mostly guard in his career. He is cleared for the game, from what I understand. In fact, he should have played last week, though, from what I understand. We have a really good note on today's show that dropped, our game preview, but he should play. Dana Wise, who's their top backup D tackle, he's out with a high ankle sprain. Chase Young's done, obviously, for the first 4 weeks, maybe even for the first half of the season with his torn ACL, and that clearly has been a problem. Casey Toohill won't play. Former Eagles 7th-round pick. He has a concussion. Cam Curl's back with a right thumb injury. He's back. He's really good. Greg Cosell loves him. So they've got some guys that are banged up. Not good when you're going against a healthy team that's probably better than you are. And this is a game where, by the way, Mike, it would not shock me if at least 10,000 Eagle fans are at.
I know that we're sending some people down there. There's a bus leaving from South Jersey. I know there's some other places sending a lot of people down there. So could be a high contingent of Eagles fans. The way they won that game, and then, of course, the next day it catches fire. Everybody starts talking about Hurts and MVP and Super Bowls. Obviously, the excitement is there. Is there some concern? Is there a letdown or a trap feeling here? I mean, you got the Wentz thing. I feel like the Wentz thing hasn't even got a lot of attention this week because of the way they played Monday night. Kind of even overtook that.
Yeah, well, remember, it's a short week, so you're always worried about that. They have to travel, but it's a very quick trip, 2 hours by bus. I believe they're changing it up this year, Mike. I think they usually take the train, the Amtrak. But from what I understand, they're busing it. So whenever they're going to be there, it's a quick trip on a short week. They didn't practice on Wednesday; they had a walkthrough. They only 2 days of practice, and they don't go hard at all anyway. Thursday's their most intense practice, if you want to call it that. Thursday's a very short 1 hour practice, and it's going to be challenging for them. But the good thing is, as you said, Mike, they're very healthy. One of the healthiest teams in the National Football League. Ironically, who do they play next week? Doug Peterson, another revenge game. Doug Peterson's Jaguars, the only team in the National Football League to not have a player listed on their injury report for 2 weeks. I've never heard that before, covering this business for 20 years. That's unheard of. So they'll play the Jaguars next week in Philly. But for this game, Eagles are healthy, no doubt about it. Now, in terms of the letdown, we talked about this morning on our show that dropped at 6 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and every podcasting platform. We're not going to know. Like, let's say the Eagles lay an egg, they lose 20-0 or something, or they lose by more than 10 points. Everyone's going to point, see, they're cocky, they're listening to what people are saying outside the building. There's no way to know that, quite frankly, because we don't work for the team. We're not in the locker room when the media's out, when they're not allowed. We don't know what the players are saying to each other. But I know from talking to a couple of the veterans over the years, this went on in 2018, a little bit in 2019. Where guys started thinking that they were a little bit better than they were. It's hard to quantify it, but sometimes when teams have letdowns, it's generally later in the season. It's not like, first of all, Washington's 1-1. Their offense has been fantastic. Wentz has actually played pretty well. He's turned over 3 times, but has 7 passing touchdowns. Their defense has been bad. We're going to get into that in a minute, Mike. That's the problem with Washington. It's nothing to do with their offense. It's the defense.
I want to get this in there real quick. The Eagles injury report official just came out. Landon Dickerson did not practice, and he is questionable with a foot injury. So
that's new. Okay, Mike, that's new. Now he was listed last week with an illness, then he took him off. That's not good because he was not listed. He was rested. He practiced Wednesday and Thursday. They went for their walkthrough on Thursday, practiced Thursday, but he's got a foot injury. That worries me. Now the fact that he's not out would tell me that it's not a serious injury. That's a little bit concerning. See, that's a new injury. I've looked at these things forever. I could tell when it's new. So what they would do is
this just came out 5 minutes ago from the Eagles official. The official Friday report just came out, so he is on it. Yeah. He did not participate today, and he is listed as questionable. So that is definitely something. You just mentioned who Opeta would take that spot.
Opeta most likely would start. He's learned to play both sides of the line. He was only comfortable the first couple of years on one side. Now he can do both, but that's not good. Now Jack Driscoll could do it as well. We'll have word on Sunday who took the reps in his place on Friday. I don't know yet because I was not aware of this. We'll know. We'll find out. So that's not good. That's not good.
It's definitely Dickerson's a key, and the Eagles' offensive line is their strength. And let's talk about their offense against the Commanders' defense, and obviously Jalen Hurts and how the Commanders' secondary and linebackers are going to deal with him, because it seems like this is an evolving thing. Teams are going to have to figure out what to do with him if he continues to throw the ball like he did in Week 2.
Yeah, Mike, what they're doing here is interesting. they've shown now you can run an RPO-centric offense and still throw the ball a lot. When they're throwing in the low 30s, that my number was 32 times per game for Hurts this season coming in. He's averaging just slightly under that. It's probably going to be around that number, low 30s each game. Why? They have one of the best rosters in the National Football League. B, their schedule's really good. C, they're a really good football team, and they've got a good scheme. And Shane Steichen has been terrific calling the plays, and he understands how to use Hurts as a runner and as a passer. He's a pure dual threat quarterback right now. And the thing that blows me away is we didn't know this about him. He's a little bit more explosive than he was last year. In fact, Dan Campbell was the guy, the head coach of the Lions, who said on his Monday press conference after the loss that we just could not run with him. Like, when do you hear a head coach kind of intimate that? They couldn't stop him. So you're right, Mike. He's been tremendous. The protection was outstanding. It's about as good as it gets against Minnesota. Yes, there were a lot of very easy throws for him to make where the picture was there. He had a great protection, but guess what? These are the throws he was not making last year because he would see them open. He wouldn't throw it. Now he's throwing it and he's completing it. He was phenomenal. His best game as an Eagle, and it's not even close. From pillar to post, from processing to accuracy, and run, whatever you want to whatever metric you want to use, he was phenomenal against the Vikings.
Let's go to the running game because this Washington team, 7.5 yards per carry they give up. It's one of the worst in recent memory against that Commanders front seven. Do we think we see a lot of Miles Sanders in this one?
Oh, yeah. Look, he's clearly the guy. Now the thing, what I find interesting, Mike, is, we came into the season trying to figure out what in the world is this thing going to look like. Are they going to use two backs again? Like, they only did two backs last year when everyone was healthy, not three. But all backs are healthy, and they're using three. Now, the good thing is Sanders is getting way more carries than the other guys. He had 20 touches last week. That's not in question. He's not a big physical guy. He's somewhere between 212 and 215. He's got good size, but not great size. But the thing that he's learned to do is get the tough yards, is more decisive and downhill. But he hasn't really changed much. This has been a little bit overrated. The tape shows that he's the same guy. He's just a little bit slightly more decisive and not taking as many negative runs, but he's still terrific, an explosive back. It's Kenny Gainwell's got to be better, Mike. This has been sort of disappointing. His bad drop that was for an interception. The only turnover the Eagles have had on offense was Hurts. From Hurts to Gainwell, the pass was the screen was there. The middle screen was there. He dropped it. You can't do that. And he had a very up and down, more down than up training camp.
Adam Caplan, football at 4. These wide receivers, the first week was all Brown. Last week he got everybody, the tight ends, the wide receivers, they all had some touches last week.
Yeah, I was, Mike, I was not surprised. I just love the way that they called the game last week. I thought it was great. They got Devontae Smith involved early. You want to do that with a young receiver, keep him engaged. 4 targets week 1, no catches. And then he was open. Now, I will say this with Hurts. There were plays that he did not see that he didn't always go to the right guy on the Detroit game. He did in this game. He was outstanding. But, yeah, I like the way they were spreading around. Boy, Zach Pascal, he blocks well for the run game. He'll make a tough catch, contested. He's physical. See, it's amazing. If you go back 2 years ago when they had Rager, Hightower, Fulgham, Watkins, very young, immature room. They've gone to what I call man's room between Brown, Pascal, Devontae Smith is a type A. Watkins has grown up here. It's amazing how they've transformed this room.
Yes, they've got a couple of different options, and even you mentioned Pascal. He's a veteran guy who is a sure-handed type of player, much like Jason Avant, who's on the inside the Birds team. He's got that vibe to him that he'll make that chain-moving catch. Let's look at the Eagles' offensive line. As we kind of said, if Dickerson's out, but this line against the Commander front seven, can they rely on this offensive line like they normally like to?
Yeah, Mike, and they've not gotten good pressure, and they've been awful on the back end. They've given up too many plays. Getting Cam Curl back will certainly help. He also could cover tight ends if needed. He may be on Goddard Sunday. We'll ask Greg Cosell and Vaughn what they think on our pregame show. But I think in the end, Mike, the Eagles' offensive line, even if Dickerson can't go, will be fine. They'll be able to handle it. It just won't be as good without Dickerson. But they'll be good no matter who starts in his place. If indeed he's out, we don't know that yet. We'll see if he's available. But no, they'll be able to handle it. It's boy, and then you mentioned earlier, the Washington could not tackle at all. They've not been good against the run, really bad against the pass. There are plays there to be made, and I expect Hurts to play well. This is a game on paper. The Eagles clearly have the better roster. I think they're better. Although I'll give the their coach's credit, particularly Scott Turner's done a phenomenal job, their offensive coordinator. They're not having problems scoring. And what you're going to see Sunday, Mike, is they're going to spread the Eagles out as we transfer to defense. They're going to spread the Eagles out. Eagles are 3 deep at corner, and we'll see who wins. They're super deep at receiver and tight end, and they're legit 5 pass to target deep. They're really a good offense.
His offense, Carson Wentz triggers this whole thing and kind of, give us a little insight on how they wrap this offense around Wentz and who's had a pretty good start to this year.
It's been really good. He's had a couple mistakes, but overall he's played really well. They don't run it well. Antonio Gibson is not a natural running back. He's a former receiver, played running back 1 year at Memphis. He struggled a bit last year. Brian Robinson, unfortunately, I'm sure he got shot twice, and thank goodness he's going to be okay. They're probably going to get him back for week 5, and they need to get him back because they just don't run it well. Not that you have to run a lot in the National Football League. When you run it, you want to run it well, and they don't run it well. And this has been a real problem for them. And I'm looking at some numbers breakdown here for the run game. Boy, it was terrible last week. That helps you when you become one-dimensional. It becomes easier to defend. And that's yet another area where the Eagles run it well. The second best running offense of the league. One of the best passing offenses in the league. Everything lines up, Mike, for the Eagles to win this game. But you hope that they don't have that letdown. I don't see it like others do. I just don't see that.
We know that the Commanders, by the way, McLaurin has really hurt the Eagles. That's a guy, too, that they got to figure out what to do with. Now, they figured out what to do with Jefferson, so we'll see if they employ a similar defense against McLaurin, who I think has almost like 500 yards receiving in the games he's played against them. So that's probably a big matchup to watch there. Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds, the pregame show on their social media platforms. Inside the Birds podcast dropped this morning. If you want to go a little deeper on the Eagles and Commanders, you can do so on the Inside the Birds podcast. Adam, appreciate it, bud.
Thank you.
Adam Caplan, football at 4 here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Thanks to Adam. As always, there's the matchups to watch. Carson Wentz, I want to get some insight on him, how he has kind of fit in with that team. Anthony Armstrong played for the Washington franchise. I don't know what they were called at the time. They could have been the football team. It might have been a little crossover there. But he is going to join us coming up on the other side to give us some insight. But this Landon Dickerson, he is questionable. He has a foot injury. He did not practice today. He was listed as limited yesterday on the injury report, but he was listed as a resting player. Now he's got this foot problem. And as Adam said, Sue Opeta would probably be the guy who steps in and plays left guard. That would be a loss. I don't think it's a loss of epic proportions, although Dickerson's very good. And I say not a loss of epic proportions because I only say that because Washington's banged up on their offensive line too, or defensive line. And because they're banged up on their defensive line, I don't want to say it evens itself out, but you're not getting their full brigade. And look, the Eagles have an embarrassment of riches at the offensive line spot. It's not often that you have a guy that can make the Pro Bowl playing every position. Not that every guy will make the Pro Bowl, but realistically, you can make a case that all 5 guys could be Pro Bowlers. If you have one guy who's just okay, Sue Opeta, you're doing okay. Former Commanders wide receiver Anthony Armstrong set to join us. He's host of Believe in the Commanders on the Believe Network. Former NFL wide receiver Anthony Armstrong joins me next right here on the Sports Bash.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. Got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be myrkchevy.com, myrkkia.com, and myrksubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
On 97.3 ESPN.
All right, Eagles Commanders, you can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Let's get a little outside perspective. Former Commanders wide receiver Anthony Armstrong gives us a outside view. He's host of Believe in the Commanders on Believe Network. Former NFL receiver Anthony Armstrong set to join me now. Eagles Commanders this Sunday, 1 o'clock, right here on 97.3 ESPN. Anthony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm fresh out of the pickup line, and I survived that another day, so I'm excited to join you, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I've heard the nightmares of sitting in the pickup line. Do you get there like an hour early? How do you play that?
Well, so my kids' schools are pretty close proximity, so you can leave just before dismissal and be out of there in about 10 minutes. So it's actually not that bad. No fights have happened yet.
You've got it easy. My sister leaves like an hour early. She's like, it's a whole game trying to get in the school line, man.
See, I'm not trying to get into that type of school mom beef. I stay out of that.
Hey, you played wide receiver, so I want to start there with this wide receiving core. McLaurin has killed the Eagles in the past. When you see what they did to Jefferson and Thielen in that pass game last week, what do you think Washington's going to have to do a little differently than Minnesota tried to do on Monday night against this defense?
Well, it's going to definitely come down to Carson Wentz and Scott Turner, offensive coordinator, getting the ball to those other receivers. I mean, if you think Terry McLaurin is going to get his respect, I'm going to expect him to get a 2-shell put on top. So corner and a safety over top, slow him down and limit his production. So that's going to mean Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas. Those guys are going to have to step up against one-on-one coverage and whatever type of things get thrown at them from Philly. It's going to be a tough matchup, but I think that they'll be able to step up and make those plays. I mean, they faced a little bit of man last week, really a lot, and some blitz. So answering the blitz and being able to get open and make plays when you get your opportunity is going to be huge.
Yeah, Anthony, when you saw what Philadelphia did to the Vikings, Cousins, he was just kind of throwing the ball up, not even looking to where it landed. What did they do that maybe they won't be able to do against Washington? I think, when we look at it from a fan's perspective and we're just casual, they're pretty weak in the middle of their line, and that's why they were able to do that. Is that something that will work against Washington?
Well, if you're being real and you look at the tape from Detroit had some success with the blitz and getting some pressure on Carson Wentz. And I have been saying this, you're going to see that same thing from Philly. When you have a few players down, Chase Rouillet is out. They brought in Nick Martin and Wes Schweitzer. He's also kind of banged up as well. So the O-line is hurting a little bit for Washington. And it's really going to be key that they're able to keep Carson Wentz upright and allow him to get the ball out and to get to those different options, those hot route options. So that's the second part of it is be ready for the blitz. Have some answers built in. That way you're not just, battering your head up against the wall, running into the blitz, or just don't know who to go to whenever you see overloaded situations.
Hey, you look at the run game that Philadelphia brings to the table. I see the number. Washington's not doing such a good job stopping the run, 7.5 yards a carry. I get some yards against that defense right now, baby. I don't know about that. But is that a big concern coming into this week, that Eagle offensive line, which is their strength, and the run game?
Oh, absolutely. And when you look at it again, the injury bug has bitten Washington across the defensive line. Obviously, we know Chase Young's not there. Fidarian Mathis, he's out. He's on IR. So you have new guys coming in, bringing in Ridgeway off of the Dallas practice squad. So there's a few new pieces in there, but they're really going to have to bring their A game to help stop this run. And the second side of it is the linebackers. I really need that unit. Jamin Davis, David Mayo, Cole Holcomb. Those guys are really going to have to be sound against the run, all the read option. They're going to get a lot of different looks. And if they don't communicate, then they're going to create a lot of gashes, and it could get ugly, but it's going to take a true test of being all on the same page.
Anthony Armstrong's with us, former Commanders wide receiver. I guess Commanders, I don't know. They weren't the Commanders.
Well,
right?
I wasn't the Commander. You could just go with Washington, and that way you can't go wrong.
It's something in between there somewhere. Play for the Washington franchise. He's got a lot of burgundy in the background here on this conversation. For those of you watching on the YouTube channel on 97.3 ESPN, this rivalry is, kind of cool. I feel like the Eagles having this prime time game, and now they have all this attention, and now you got to go to Washington. They're in this kind of everyone's talking about them. I don't know. You get that overlooked feeling. Is this one of those things where Washington feels like this is a perfect week to get this Philadelphia team? If you're playing and you're in that locker room, you're like, this is the perfect week to get this team. They're riding off the high, and everyone's talking about them.
I mean, I can see that being a thing. I mean, you already got to think everybody in Washington and in Ashburn, Virginia, they're ready to fight for Carson Wentz because he's going against his old team. I mean, why not? What's a better time to go ahead and get that win? And you have a team that's riding high and bring him down a peg or two. I mean, it's going to be a challenge for sure. But, Washington, I think, will be focused more on themselves. They really can't worry about who's on the other side of the field, not playing perfect football yet. They still have a ways to go. And I think they still have a few weeks to develop and really become an entire unit. So are they focused about who's on the other side of the field? Not too much, but they definitely want to get a big win against Philly.
Okay, I want to get two thoughts from you. One on this side, Hurts, what you've seen from him. Last year, so many questions. Is he the guy? They made the trades to get extra draft picks. People thought they could trade draft picks to go get a Russell Wilson, and maybe they were going to be in Deshaun Watson conversation. They said no. They stuck with Hurts. They have 2 picks in this draft, so he's got that knowing that if I don't play well, they got draft picks. So far through 2 games, if you're the Eagles right now, what are you thinking about your quarterback?
Oh, you got to think that he stepped up. I mean, Jalen Hurts, if it wasn't for Josh Allen and how he's been going so far this season, you got to really consider Jalen Hurts as a potential MVP candidate. The 1 touchdown pass, to get past that, if you really look at how he's orchestrating the offense, he's making very sound decisions. He's clean with the football. I mean, he gets out of the pocket and he creates with his feet whenever there's a blitz. I mean, he's really playing as a total package. He's just not 6'5" and 230, 240, whatever Josh Allen is. So much more diminutive player, but he really is taking advantage of this opportunity. I mean, Philly has done everything to just say, hey, the pressure's on you. And if you're going to perform, then great. We'll ride with you. But if not, they're ready to make moves elsewhere.
Adding A.J. Brown, how much concern should Washington have about – and how do you go about that if you're Washington? You got Brown. He crushed Detroit in the first game, and then Minnesota just got them all. They had to figure out – I mean, Smith got involved, Goddard got involved, Brown got involved. You played that position. How does Washington match up with that wide receiver core? If you were a Philly wide receiver this week, who you going after?
Man, I tell you – It's tough to match up. I mean, A.J. Brown is a special player. There's a reason why he got that bag. There's a reason why he got paid the way he did. So he's a top-notch player, but there's enough weapons on that team, and the way that you spread the ball out, you're not going to get to match up all day. So it's going to be a group effort. You're going to have your linebackers being underneath those mid-level routes, those deep ends, even though you don't really go deep too much. So it's going to be just quick routes and coming up and making tackles. But A.J. Brown makes it tough because you can't just say you're going to focus on one guy and put it all on Jalen Hurts because he's shown the ability to attack a zone that for whatever reason Minnesota decided to play zone against Philly all game. And then whenever Detroit was blitzing, he got them out of that, and then he picked apart the zone as well. So for me, I'm looking for Jack Del Rio to get creative, like pull something out of your hat. I mean, you've seen the team play soft and get beat. You've seen the team show aggression and get beat. So now you have to find some creative way to confuse and try to contain Jalen Hurts.
All right, Anthony, you look at Carson Wentz, obviously. This week has been weird because of the Hurts and the win. I feel like if the Eagles in Washington were playing in a normal week, the Wentz first game against Philadelphia, how has he been received? How has he played? I don't know what it was like when they made the trade to get him. Were people like, oh, we got this guy? Or were they kind of like, oh, we got Carson Wentz? So kind of give us the dynamic of what he, when he got there and to what he's done through 2 games.
Sure. So when the trade first happened, I know personally I wasn't too enthused about it, and that seemed to be a similar thought across Washington football nation. So nobody really was just jumping out of the gym about it, and then I had to sit back and say, okay, hold on. You are upgrading the position. If you could argue, say at that time, he had the second best quarterback in the division. So I figure you're going to got to give this guy a chance to redeem himself, to show who he is, and I think he's done that over the offseason by leading the passing camps out in California. He was supporting Terry McLaurin and getting his new contract. He did everything he could to show that he could be a leader for this team, and he impressed. And then he came out in week 1, got to wear the captain patch, and he performed 4 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions. We'll give Trevon Walker a medal for that second interception because that was special. But I think Carson Wentz has shown what he can bring to this team. I mean,
How has he handled this week, do you think? I mean, in knowing that he's playing Philly, and I'm sure that he got a lot of questions down there that he's going back against this team that basically it was a kind of an acrimonious split, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think it's something that you always see the players downplay it. They always just try to say, hey, it's just another game. We're not worried about that much. But deep down inside, he does want to get a win. This means a lot for him. And I think that the rest of that locker room knows that, and they want to fight for this guy as well. And so it's going to be a strong effort across the board. And I think you'll see more emotions after the game than you do leading up into the game.
Anthony Armstrong, many of you will remember Mike Vick taking the reins from Philadelphia, 59-28. Armstrong was the leading receiver in that game for Washington. Had a 76-yard bomb, but too much Eagles offense in that one. But you led the then Redskins in receiving that game. You remember it?
Yeah, I remember that game. Why do you have to bring that one up, man?
Well,
Why do you have to bring that up?
Wow, 3 catches, 83 yards. You had a big game in that one.
I appreciate that. I'm sure you brought it up for my personal statistics, but
it's a look back at this rivalry. It's a look back at this rivalry, man.
It is definitely a moment in history. Folks in the burgundy and gold, they don't want to relive that. So I say, hey, guys, no fighting pregame. No fighting pregame.
And by the way, that was a Donovan McNabb-led Washington Redskins team. What was it like playing with Donovan?
At the time, I say at the time, the way I got to the league, everything was a dream to just see all these names and faces that you play on Madden. You see those guys. So being able to play for Donovan and play with Donovan, I was out of this world. When they made the trade, I was like, I want to be his Deshaun Jackson, his deep threat that he can rely on, and had a strong offseason, and it led into a regular season and eventually got to start a little bit too. So it's pretty cool to know that whenever he gets that Hall of Fame induction, I got a couple of passes that I got to catch from him.
By the way, on the other side, the leading receiver for the Eagles, Deshaun Jackson, 2 catches for 98 yards in that same game. There you go. So it all comes full circle. Anthony Armstrong, Believe in the Commanders on the Believe Network. Philly, Washington, they renew the rivalry this Sunday at 1, and you can hear all the action right here on 97.3 ESPN. Appreciate you, Anthony.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
All right, we will talk to him on the Monday Night Football game, hopefully, when they are here in Philly, and that will be in a couple of weeks. And, of course, we are sending someone to that game. You can enter to win those tickets coming up. I'll take another qualifier in about 20 minutes from now. Stick around. We appreciate Anthony Armstrong. I look at that game, and he mentioned Wentz and how much he wants to win. We talked about this beginning. We're going to get into this with Sal Powell at 5 o'clock tonight. Sal Powell at 5. How much Jalen Hurts wants to win this game? How much Jalen Hurts wants to play and show the guy across the sideline? And what did Sal Powell see from Jalen Hurts? He said something this week on KJM. We're going to play that audio for Sal Powell. Stick around for that. And don't forget, got the ZZ Top tickets. We're going to be announcing the winners tonight. You can still enter. Go to our website, 973ESPN.com. Download the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. When we come back, it's One Thought every game. Casey Joyner coming up next.
When you need live
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. Got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be myrkchevy.com, myrkkia.com, and myrksubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
With Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
All right, one thought every game. Casey Joyner is set to join me as we look at the Week 3 schedule. We'll get his thoughts on the Thursday night Eagles picks as well. One thought every game, a little rapid fire this week as Casey doing a little gymnastics. Sal Pal tonight in the 5 o'clock spot. Casey's in the 4:40 spot, so we are going to hit it quickly here with him from The Athletic. Of course, you can always check Casey Joyner's One Thought every game right here on the Sports Bash. Casey, how are you, pal?
Doing great. Thanks for working out the schedule.
Yes, a little gymnastics here, but we made it work, and we'll get one thought every game in just a second. Let's first start with Philadelphia and Washington, some thoughts on that. And really what we want to look at is The Eagles' offense last week really in the first half shined, and I'm kind of looking at that Washington defense and wondering if there's some vulnerabilities that the Philadelphia Eagles can kind of target in this game to continue what they did in the first 2 weeks, putting up a lot of points.
Washington's got some defensive line injuries, and they have a cornerback named William Jackson III, who is, according to the metrics, somebody that the Eagles will absolutely want to target. In fact, out of all the matchups, I've got the red, yellow, green matchup they use for secondary players. He's the only one in this matchup who's green rated, so I think, and he probably will go up against A.J. Brown. So I'm expecting a big game out of Brown if that's how that plays out.
7.5 yards a carry they've given up so far this year and on the ground. And you wonder if Philadelphia says, you know what, we're going to exploit that, and we're going to use Miles Sanders a lot in this game.
I think they're going to use Sanders. I did some stuff on an article for The Athletic this week, talk about the Eagles' goal line usage and such, and I think they'll use Sanders a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of carries to go around. I wouldn't be surprised to see. You can't give everybody double-digit carries. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sanders get his usual carries, and either Scott or Gain will get double-digit carries too. Because, as mentioned, that Washington defensive line, they've got talent in their defense, but when you take as many injuries as they have this early in the season of the defensive line like that, they've got some problems. I think he's going to be able to run the ball with a lot of ease in this one.
We saw Philadelphia shut down a pretty talented offense, but a lot of times that stems from the offensive line play. But the Eagles did a great job on Justin Jefferson. They picked their spots when they sent the blitz. Can they employ a similar defensive mindset this week against Carson Wentz and this Washington offense?
It'll be interesting to see how they do it, because it's funny that Minnesota didn't utilize Adam Thielen as much as they should have, because if the other team says we're going to take out Jefferson, they need to do that. Well, kind of going to be in the same situation this week for the Eagles. They've got a situation where, okay, do you want to shut down McLaurin, who's their vertical guy, but you got Curtis Samuel playing exceptionally well, and Logan Thomas, their tight end, has been playing better. So if I'm the Eagles, go ahead and take McLaurin out, but you're going to have to think about how in the world do you slow down Samuel, because Samuel, it could be a problem for them because he's been exceptionally productive so far this year.
Yeah, I know that McLaurin has really hurt the Eagles in the past. It'll be interesting to see because he hasn't really got off going that big in these two games yet. So we'll see if they get him going in this one here. One thought every game. Casey Joyner set to join us. We'll get his final thoughts on that Eagles-Commanders matchup. But first, let's take a look at the Sunday slate here with one thought every game. Houston heading to Chicago. The Bears coming off of a loss, and of course Houston has struggled. They are 0-1-1, but the Chicago team, oh man, they just don't have enough weapons. But this seems like a perfect situation. They're at home where they can get themselves to 2-1.
Yeah, they should be able to do quite well. They ran for 180 yards last week, and the Texans have allowed the third most ground yards through 2 weeks this season. By the way, Houston's their offense is last in expected points added, which is advanced metric. It basically measures your offensive production. So they're doing badly on both sides of the ball. And I think Chicago's going to run the ball a lot in this game. I really think that Montgomery's got a big game, and I think Khalil Herbert has his first game too. So I'm taking Bears.
I like what I saw from Herbert on Monday night. Obviously, Vegas 0-2, Tennessee 0-2. They both need this one. Both teams made the playoffs. Tennessee's a home dog in this one.
They should be a home dog. Came into this year, it looked like they were a team that was looking for a reason, if not to quit, but looking for, hey, if something goes bad, our season's going to go south, because you heard about Ryan Tannehill talking, he had all kinds of problems dealing with the loss. And you realize why now, because their window closed. Derrick Henry's looking terrible. Taylor Lewan, their tackle, is probably out for the year. Their defense is awful in their secondary, and they've got injuries back there as well. They're just bad in every single way. I'm not a big Vegas fan, and I usually don't take them on the like to play in a game out east, but I think Tennessee's ready to hang up their season already, so I'm taking the Raiders this one.
All right, Kansas City on the road, Indianapolis. You got the Colts really struggling. They got shut out last week. Now they're playing against a team that can really score. If it's a shootout, I think the Colts are in trouble.
Yeah, the Colts have some big problems. Big thing for the Colts is that they rank last in the league in offensive scoring drive percentage. So, they're worse than Seattle. They've scored on fewer percentage drives than Seattle. They're doing that poorly on offense. And maybe Pittman comes back this week, and if he does, okay, that's going to help. But they just got some serious issues. And even Jonathan Taylor, he's still a great back, but he's not getting the kind of blocking. I think Kansas City can turn it into enough of a shootout game that Colts can't keep up. So I'm taking the Chiefs big in this one.
One thought, every game, Buffalo, Miami, this one should be fun. We could get 70 points in this one, although Buffalo has dominated. They've scored 37 points a game in their last 7 games against the Dolphins. So can Miami bring them down to Miami and wear them out?
I think if you go back, though, at the end of the third quarter of Miami's game last week, you'd say at that point, wow, they have 27 points in 7.5 quarters of play. They're not that great on offense until the Ravens just decided we're not going to cover Tyreek Hill, which it's kind of, when he's running fast downfield, you kind of need to keep somebody on him, and they blew coverage on him twice. So that was part of the injuries and inexperience they had back in their secondary. Buffalo's got some injuries, too. I don't know if Micah Hyde's going to play this week or not. Dane Jackson obviously won't after what happened last week. But even with those injuries, I think Buffalo's not going to have the same problems in their secondary that Baltimore did last week. So I'm taking the Bills.
One thought, every game, Baltimore, New England, a lot of closely matched games here. New England with the home opener. Baltimore had the meltdown. Tough one to read here.
Yeah, it is. Problem for New England, though, is that I mean, if you look again, take Baltimore through 3 quarters last week, and they looked really good, and their defense looked really good, and they played exceptionally well. Lamar Jackson, though, he's a problem for a Bill Belichick team because Bill Belichick, as great of a coach as he is, he always struggles with a mobile quarterback. So Lamar Jackson, in his 2 games against New England, he's accounted for 528 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think that it's not a matchup that Belichick's going to handle very well. The defense is going to handle very well, and the New England offense is terrible. So I'm taking Baltimore on the road.
All right, one thought every game. I like this one. This one's intriguing. 0-2 Cincinnati, 1-1 New York. New York throws it a bunch. Cincinnati gets sacked a lot. This one seems like throw a dart.
It does. It's very, 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 very close in this one. I do that article series for The Athletic every Monday. You focus on the fantasy football, but you can apply it to NFL as well. The most interesting stat I found this week, Joe Burrow on vertical passes has 0 fantasy points. Not a single fantasy point. He had minus 2.04 against Pittsburgh, had 2.04 last week. They're not doing very well vertically. And mind you, Joe Flacco, he's got one more game to show that he should be the quarterback. Like, I put Wilson in next week, but if Flacco's going to show them, hey, you ought to yank this guy and put me back in there. And I think they're going to be very aggressive. And I think that given Cincinnati's problems, I think the Jets are good. But I had to take it because it's at home, taking the Jets.
One thought every game. He likes the Jets there, by the way, against the defending AFC champion. If they win that game with Flacco, don't you got to keep him out there?
You would think, but they're talking so much about bringing Wilson back. I think they want to give Wilson one more chance. They think they're not doing right by their franchise quarterback because Flacco's still a short-term solution.
Fair enough. New Orleans, Carolina on the road. New Orleans struggled offensively last week, but they played a good Tampa defense. Carolina's lost 2 games by a total of 5 points.
They have. The concern for New Orleans, I mean, Winston's got his back injuries. Kamara's hurt. But in Carolina's defense ranks 30th in scoring drive percentage, but the Saints on offense, they're 25th in scoring drive rate. So looking at those factors there, and I just keep seeing those injuries for ones to pick against them. But Carolina just hasn't shown anything. Like a New Orleans defense, I can say, okay, that's a platoon I can trust. Look at Carolina, it's like, I don't see platoons I can trust either way. Even McCaffrey, he's getting volume, but he's not doing good on a per-play basis, which was a problem for him last year, and it may say that he's getting worn down from all that wear and tear. So I'll take New Orleans by a small margin.
Okay, Jacksonville on the road against the Chargers. They shut out the Colts last week. 7-point dog, by the way. Not a big home field advantage for the Chargers generally. Doug Peterson's got this team healthy and playing well.
I cannot understand it by – well, I could easily see Jacksonville last year if they play this game in LA. They're a double-digit dog easy. It might be 14-point dog, but the Jaguars' defense has posted 3 takeaways in each of the first 2 games, so that's good. But the Chargers only have 1 giveaway in the entire game, and that was that one pick 6, which was just a mistake by the whole team on that one. So I don't think that Jacksonville's going to be able to get the turnovers. It's a road game for them. Los Angeles is 10 days rest. It looks like Herbert's fine from the ribs injury, so I got to take the Chargers in this one.
All right, one thought every game, Rams, Arizona. Arizona comes from behind. That was on the road. Now they go home, but the Rams have owned this series since McVay has been the head coach.
Yeah, they have. Arizona, I look at the Rams, and the Rams have, I think they're finally figuring out what they are. I don't like the way their defense has been playing, but they're finally getting where they need to be in offense. It's not all Cooper Kupp, and that's not all Henderson. Now they've got Kupp, Henderson, Robinson, Cam Akers. They're getting everybody involved in that offense because it's a different team, and they kind of walked in. You can see they had a bit of a Super Bowl hangover, so I think they're finally finding who they are. And Arizona, again, they get the big win last week off of the crazy plays, but there's still a lot of things you got to not like about that club and the way they're trending. So I'll take the Rams.
All right, one thought every game, Atlanta and Seattle. These are probably 2 of the weaker teams matched up against each other, but Atlanta's on the West Coast for the 2nd straight week.
Yeah, it is. And, I mean, Seattle's got – Pete Carroll's now talking about trying to let Geno Smith cook. And it's like, well, you didn't let Russ cook, so why are you going to let Geno Smith cook? I don't get this. But Seattle – they're just Smith's historical numbers say he can't throw vertical like that anyway. And Seattle ranks 31st in offensive scoring drive rate. Mentioned that only the Colts are worse, and they're the only two teams less than 20% in that category. Atlanta's offense is 11th in scoring drive rate, and they've not even involved Kyle Pitts. Fantasy managers tearing their hair out about him, but he hasn't even been involved. It's been all Drake London. I think they get Pitts involved in this game, so I usually wouldn't take Atlanta on the road in a matchup like this that far across the country against the 12s, but I'll take the Falcons by a small margin.
Maybe the best matchup of the weekend, the Bay of Pigs, Green Bay, Tampa Bay at Tampa.
Bay of Pigs, that is old Chris Berman comment. I don't like where Tampa Bay is right now. They've got too many problems in too many places. They've got injuries all over the receiving core. They get injuries in the offensive line. Mike Evans is going to be out for this contest. And frankly, looking at Green Bay, I mean, Rodgers has always had a target funnel, one guy he could just go to all the time, and now he's going to spread the ball around a lot. It's different for him, but it started to work better last week, and I just like where they are offensively better than I like where Tampa Bay is offensively, and I think that Green Bay can also still lean on the run just as much. I think it's going to be a slugfest, but I think that the Rodgers connection with his receivers is going to make up for what Tampa doesn't have in offense. I'll take the Packers on the road.
All right, Sunday night, San Francisco and Denver. Denver's looked kind of weak offensively here. They got to get it together. In San Francisco, Jimmy G giving them a new feel.
Well, the thing is, had they gotten into 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in the season, they would have been adjusted to the Trey Lance offense. They would have said, okay, now this is what our offense is, and that would have been a much harder adjustment to go back to Jimmy G. Now they just go, well, geez, we had a 2-game break like we did last year. We had Lance in there for a time, and then we brought Jimmy G back. It's just like we're used to doing this, so it's very good timing for them. I do like where they are offensively. And Denver, it's what's Wilson going to do? I mean, he's got a banged up receiving core now, and he hasn't been doing well. And might be part of the reason that they didn't want to let him cook in Seattle, because maybe they thought, hey, this guy's not quite as good as he used to be. So I'm going to take San Francisco on the road.
All right, final one, of course, the Eagles and Commanders down there in Washington. Key matchup, who wins and why?
I think that the Eagles win because the Commanders, even though they're good offensively, you're still talking Carson Wentz, you're still talking Antonio Gibson. They are two of the most turnover-laden players at their positions in the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gibson put the ball on the ground, and obviously wouldn't be surprised to see Wentz have an interception or two. I think that's going to make all the difference for the Eagles, who have a higher percentage offense. I'll take Philadelphia.
All right, likes the Eagles in this one. Of course, you can hear the game on 97.3 ESPN. Casey Joyner from The Athletic. One thought every game. He'll be back Monday. Thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
All right, there he goes, is the football scientist with all his thoughts. One thought every game. Sal Powell on the other side will get his thoughts on the Eagles and Commanders. We'll dig deeper into the matchup and what he saw and what he sees moving forward. Does he think Jalen Hurts, have the Eagles made their decision on the franchise quarterback? He said something this week on KJM. We'll ask him about that coming up next. But what I need right now is caller number 7, 609-573-3776. Caller 7. You'll join Mike in Egg Harbor City and Bobby in Galloway as a qualifier. They're both in for a chance to win Eagles Commanders Club Box tickets for their Monday night matchup at Lincoln Financial Field. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. Good luck. You must be present to win at Garden State Beer Company on Friday, October 28th. If you're a qualifier, we must see you there for you to win those tickets. Good luck, caller 7.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
The Claridge Hotel has been around for a number of years. Here at Park Place and the world-famous Atlantic City Boardwalk, just steps away from the beach. So we've had a number of people come through our doors, each with their own style and taste, which is why they chose the Claridge to take their visit to new heights. Book your getaway today at claridge.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
I am the voice of the voiceless.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
5:03 Sports Bash Happy Hour Friday, Sal Paolantonio set to join us here on the Sports Bash. I want to congratulate Dave and Kate May. Dave's got a shot to win club box seats to see the Eagles and Commanders when they come here on Monday Night Football. That's November the 14th. We'll certainly Be having fun on Happy Hour Friday at Garden State Beer Company. We'll be giving away those tickets with all of our qualifiers. The football season is here. A Sal Pal Friday is here, and he joins me right now here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. The 2-0 Eagles feeling pretty good. Sal, how are you?
Yeah, I mean, they are feeling pretty good. Thanks for adjusting, Mike Gill. You know, we live in a world of travel snafus, man. I tell you, it's crazy.
Well, we did a little gymnastics. We made it work, and here we are. And everybody's been asking, hey, no Sal Pal today. It's at 5 o'clock. Calm down. Here he is. And first, we got to start with what we saw on Monday night and kind of lead us to where we are now. I mean, the carryover from that game, is there any concern that there's that there's still too much looking back at that game?
No, I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. I really liked one thing that Jalen Hurts said after the game. He said it was a hell of a game, and we got a hell of a lot to learn. Now, that's a coach's son talking, and I know that sounds like a cliche. People throw that around, well, he's a coach's son, or, this guy's a coach's son. But you learn when you are the son of a coach or someone who has coached, and you are a baseball coach, Mike. Yeah, you teach your young men and young women, and so have I, that you got to move on and play who's on the next on the schedule. And if you don't do that, then you got no shot at being successful in the long term.
That's
what coaches preach. So
right.
I like it. He said a hell of a game, but a hell of a lot to learn.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Hurts gets it in all those areas. But I want to get from you just the evolution of the step forward he has taken. I mean, is this something that we can, you talk about consistency in the NFL, Sal. Is he going to give you that game every week? No, but is he going to approach that type of play where you can now think about him as taking the next step forward? I heard you on KJM earlier this week saying that he settled the franchise quarterback debate. Now, that's a pretty big moment, right?
It is. So, I think this week will tell us a lot for sure, because precisely for the reasons that you're stating. It's a short week. The Eagles and Washington always play close games at FedEx. I hate this line of 6.5. Absolutely hate it. They're always 3-point games. Sometimes somebody scores late. Inevitably, somebody scores late, and the games tighten up. I don't care if it's Randall Cunningham or Bobby Brister or Donovan McNabb or whoever the quarterbacks have been. It's always been a late charge by somebody that closes the gap, especially at FedEx, especially on a short week. So what they have to do is continue to do what they have done up front. Now, the injury to Landry Dickerson is a little concerning. He's got a foot injury, and he's an important part of their interior pass protection and run game. So that's an issue. There's no sugarcoating that. So that's something that you got to watch in the football game. But, as for Hurts, if you have a dual threat quarterback who can win from the pocket, that's the holy grail. That's Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
That's Josh Allen. That's what you want. And in my view, there are some quarterbacks out there that still haven't proven they can do it, and that's Lamar Jackson. And I think Jalen's on his way to proving that he can do it. Dual threat, win from the pocket. 84% completion rate, Mike. I mean, whoa.
Well, that's the best. I've seen him deliver the football. And the most we were talking Wednesday, and, one of the things was how composed he looks, right? He looked like he had decisive decisions, and he threw the ball without thinking about it, and he threw it with accuracy, and he threw it with confidence.
Boy, are the Vikings overrated or what?
Well, they didn't make a change. I mean, they didn't adjust defensively. And you know what? Give Jalen and the Eagles credit. They didn't make adjustments, and the Eagles just kept going right after them.
Yeah, they left points out there, Mike, on Monday night, and he knows it. They could have, dropped 30, 35 on them, but they lead the NFL in yards from scrimmage. They're number one in total yards of offense, and that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's good, and then I want to get your thoughts, because on the other side of the ball, we've been critical of John Gannon and the blitz and not blitzing enough and not getting enough pressure. What did you think of the way that John Gannon dialed up and called his defense on Monday night, and then how he can kind of take what he learned from that game into this week?
It's amazing how Kirk Cousins just crawled into the hole in the red zone on the big moments, isn't it?
Yeah.
2-10 on Monday night. So they got 3 gifts from Kirk Cousins. I mean, I thought the defense was good, for sure, with the exception of one player who was great, and that was Darius Slay. Darius Slay, you watched it, and then I rewatched it. I rewatched the game, and then I just looked at his plays, and he was just great, in the right spot, great anticipation, super tough. You know, you can tell he's really a student of the game, knew exactly where Jefferson was going before Jefferson knew where he was going. That interception where he crosses in front of Jefferson. Jefferson was supposed to go on the post, and he blamed himself for the interception. Well, I believe Darius Slay cut him off. I do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
I think he was supposed to go there, and Slay jumped the route, and Kirk Cousins did not adjust to what Jefferson did. He just pulled the trigger, and Darius Slay was sitting right there. Great, great game. All-pro game from Darius Slay.
Oh, yeah. That was a moment right there. And part of the give Gannon a little credit. He did dial up a little heat this game, there were some not key moments. It was 24/7, but still he dialed up some spots in that red zone where you're like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah, it was nice to see, wasn't it? Nice to see.
Almost shocking.
But we're not going to send him any love notes yet, all right?
No, and that's the thing is, what can he take from how he called that game into a game like this? Because you got a guy, McLaurin, who's killed you, man. He has almost 500 yards in the games, and I think he's got more yards against the Eagles than any other team he's faced. So you got to deal with another big play receiver.
Yeah, you do. But, the reason why Slay feels more confident is because C.J. Gardner-Johnson's back there. And he just feels like, hey, I can do my thing, and I don't have to worry about the back end. That's a beautiful thing. It is. The secondary is fixed, knock on wood. I think they have the best secondary in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's got a better secondary than they do?
And Sal, I guess with that, and both of us have said, hey, John Gannon, come on, let's go. And especially you've asked for more pressure, but can he say in his mind, you know what, I can send more pressure because I do trust these guys more?
Yeah, well, he should have done it week 1. But nevertheless, I'm not trying to be cute here, but you worked on it all summer. You knew what you had.
Yeah.
Not yet ready to send him a love note.
Well, this matchup this week, Carson Wentz. I know it's something that you've been asked about probably a lot this week on the mothership because you are the Philadelphia guy. How important is it for Wentz to perform well in his mind? I mean, is this a game that you think deep down that he wants to show that they made a mistake, or do you think he's past that?
I interviewed him over the summer. You saw the interview. I think his game has been just too messy, for the first 2 games. Anybody who's looked at it can make that conclusion. So, I think he's got to fix his game first before he starts worrying about any revenge against the Eagles or showing up against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm just going to be, I'm going to flip the script on here, Mike. I think there's a lot more pressure on Jalen Hurts than there is Carson Wentz in this game. People have written the Washington Commanders off. The Eagles are one of 6 2-0 teams, only 6. There's only 6 2-0 teams, and that hasn't happened in 10 years. It's very rare in week 3 when you have only 6 2-0 teams. The Eagles are in rarefied air. People are talking about them as one of the final 4 in the NFC. They're not talking about Washington like that. So it's more incumbent on what the Eagles are going to do in this game, and I don't think anybody's really worried about how Washington does. I think the bottom line is, in this game, the reason why the Eagles will be better in the end against Washington is because Jalen Hurts, knock on wood, not turning the ball over. Many times have we said it? And Carson Wentz has turned the ball over. So that's the big, big, big difference.
Yeah, and I do agree with you to the extent of that, there is some pressure on Hurts here because now everyone's waiting for him to perform. They saw that, and it's like, we saw what you did on Monday night. Can you do it again? But I wonder how much because he's such an even-keeled guy, that he wants to perform to kind of show, because it seemed there was a lot written about the relationship between him and Wentz, and that Wentz really didn't take to him very well. And you wonder if there's a part of Hurts that wants to say, dude, this is what you get for the way you treated me.
No, I don't think there's any part of him like that. I really don't.
Okay.
I've talked to him a lot in the last 2 years. He is focused on one thing and one thing only, carrying this football team to the Super Bowl. Honestly, that's what he's focused on. He knows what this team did for him in the offseason. He knows the big payday for him and his family that's waiting for him.
Oh, yeah.
He also knows, hey, he was left at the altar at Alabama. He was left at the altar in the Heisman voting. He knows what second place looks like, and he didn't like it. And so I think he knows what's at stake. It's about him and this team, and I don't think he's focused on anybody else's feelings. I know it for a fact.
Well,
I've talked to people around him, his teammates, and him about it.
Yeah. All right, let's get a couple Sal Pal keys for this NFC East matchup here, because I think you're right. I mean, no one's talking about Washington. They just lost to Detroit. And you know what people like to do. Well, they lost to Detroit. Philly beat Detroit, but it's a week-to-week thing. So what are some of Sal Pal's keys this week?
I think it's short week. Play a game at the beginning that's clean. And they're capable of doing that. They've shown no messiness in their game. They're totally buttoned up offensively. So play clean early. Don't allow any kind of short field position for Washington. Number two, you got four guys who can really run the football. So Washington's front seven is not a very good run defending front seven. And the Eagles have so many changes of pace with Hurts and Boston Scott and Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, so many different opportunities to run the football. And then number three, Gannon should blitz and then blitz more and then continue to blitz.
I'm writing this down. Gannon, blitz and blitz more and then continue to blitz. Did I quote you right on that one?
Michael, why don't you just wait a minute, hold on. Take that last one, because that's going to be my third key to the Eagles every week. So just say, Sal, give me the first two, and I'll play the third.
ESPN senior national correspondent Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. You got a chance to call Pittsburgh last week. That was New England and Pittsburgh. Interesting. Now New England's got their home opener against Baltimore this week, but man, we saw Pittsburgh last night. They can't get anything going offensively.
No, I think the two surprise teams right now that have caught everybody off guard are the Eagles and the Dolphins, and both has to do with speed. And the ability to just score points and score at will. So those are the two surprise teams. The Bucs are not surprising anybody because everybody knew they got Brady, they got Bowles, they're healthy on defense. The Bills have just crushed people, but everybody knew the Bills were going to be good and they're on a revenge tour. So I think that like I said, there are only 6.
What about Cincinnati though? 0-2, is that surprising?
Oh well, I'm doing the teams that are good, not bad.
Okay, I got you. Well, they were in the Super Bowl last year. That's good, right? They were in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, but this year, I'm just talking about the 6-0 of the 2-0 teams. I think the two teams that are surprising and you go back to what you said, Mike, and you're right. Everybody's waiting now. Okay, when is Jalen Hurts going to come back to earth? Yep. Right.
Oh,
everybody's just waiting. That's why I think much, 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 much more pressure on Jalen Hurts than there is Carson Wentz this week.
Agreed.
Not even close.
Now, a Sal Pal Friday. Where will Sal Pal be on Sunday? What's the assignment?
I am going to the Patriots home opener because I'm doing ESPN radio again. I'll be on the sideline with Chris Canty and Chris Carlin.
Nice. How's my guy Phil? Does he give you the stats there?
Oh, he was great.
All right.
He don't say much, but he was great.
Well, that's why I host the pod, and he just kind of interjects.
Oh, he was fantastic.
All right. Well, Sal Paolantonio, that's Johnny G and our buddies over there at the Burger Realty. And Johnny G.
Thank you to Johnny G. Johnny G and the Grinder team at Burger Realty. I said to Johnny G, me and the missus want to come down to OC on the Eagles bye week.
All right.
I called him. Yeah. So when my wife's like, well, how are you going to pull that off? I said, how am I going to pull it off? I got the guy. I got Johnny G. It's like, it's a 5-second phone call.
There's no better. There's no one better. And hey, we're out and about all the time, so we'll hook up. And obviously, all right. Well, you got to give us the pick. Who wins?
Oh, I think the Eagles will win. I'm not so sure they'll cover.
That was it was 7.5 earlier this week. That number's dropping because I think people agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go 24 to 24-20.
24-20 is the Sal Pal Friday pick here on the Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. All right, safe travels, man, and we will catch up. Oh, Dougie P's back, and you going to get the text message in?
Oh, I got some stuff planned with Dougie P next week.
Good stuff. And don't forget the matchup show, everybody, out there on ESPN and ESPN2 this week to get you ready for week 3 of the NFL. Sal Pal. Appreciate it, pal.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash. Eagles close, though. 24-20 is the Sal Pal Friday pick here on this Sal Pal Friday, Happy Hour Friday. I got the ZZ Top tickets. I'm going to get you a winner in 20 minutes or so. I'll announce the 5 winning names. 5 winning names. And you only get Sal Pal Fridays here on the Sports Bash. You got to keep it locked every Friday for Happy Hour Friday. Sal Pal here on the Sports Bash. That was a special Sal Pal 5 o'clock edition. For those of you who usually hear him at 3, I'm sorry. He just told you the travel snafu. I've been there. I've been to that travel snafu place. Hey, coming up, Jeff Kerr will go inside the NFC East where all 4 teams face each other. 2-2. One's Monday night. One's this weekend. Eagles, Commanders, Dallas, Giants. Get his thoughts on the game last night and more NFL. CBS Sports NFL writer Jeff Kerr. Good morning, NFC East. I got my picks, my pick of the game, my players of the game. That's still to come right here on the Sports Bash. 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. And don't forget, you can watch live video on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel powered by BFA Sports. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch on your tablet, phone, laptop, big screen TV. More Sports Bash coming up.
We live in a community that cares. We make sure everyone eats, everyone plays, everyone stays warm, and everyone is protected. We support our youth in organizations that teach the value of community and self-worth. We make strides against breast cancer every day. Together, in this community, we make a difference. RK Chevrolet, RK Kia, and RK Subaru, proudly serving our community since 1982.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all the Claridge has to offer.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
Sports leader.
Sports Bash on a Friday. Jeff Kerr going to join us, of course, to talk a little NFC East, NFL. He's brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. Stop by their entire new inventory and take advantage of exceptional online offers anytime at BMWAtlanticCity.com. Jeff Kerr, writer, CBS Sports, and he's the host of Good Morning NFC East on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. He joins us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And if you're watching live video, there he is, Jeff Kerr. What's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, Mike, I need a verdict for you. I have a verdict for you. So in our fantasy football league this week, my one buddy is Justin Herbert, and Justin Herbert's questionable, right? So what do you think?
I got Justin Herbert too, by the way, so go ahead.
Yeah, so my other buddy decided, you know what, I'm going to handcuff him. He has one quarterback. He signed Jared Goff on him, and he's the only good available quarterback. Fair or foul?
Wait, say this again?
Okay, so in our league, my one buddy is Justin Herbert, but he has one
Okay.
quarterback, right? My other buddy has two quarterbacks already on his roster, but he had an open roster spot, and Jared Goff is the
I got
only
you.
good quarterback left, so he signed him.
See, my league, and people complain about this, but we have roster limitations so that can't happen.
See, we don't.
Because we had a guy in our league that would have like 15 running backs on his roster just so no one else could get them. And then he'd be like, well, then you have to trade me for one. But the league is set up to – we have our league set up to try to keep it competitive so that everybody wants to play all year long.
Yeah, so this is the savage move he's pulling. I think he wants a running back that played Thursday night. I think he does. I don't know if he can make that move, though. But I told him I thought it was fair.
I would say the move is it's fair, but it's a little hokey.
I thought it was funny, personally, because the guy who has Herbert likes to complain.
A little hokey, that's all. Jeff, let's first off, before we look at this Eagles-Commanders game in the NFC East a little bit, you got the Thursday night game last night, and, I guess you're going to start hearing the cries for Kenny Pickett, right? I mean, Trubisky, I thought he looked good in the last drive. I mean, he made some throws there, but that offense just can't move.
No, and look, I've been crying for Kenny Pickett since they even named Mitch Trubisky the starter, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask this. But overall, I thought, look, there's so many problems with Pittsburgh's offense right now. Their offensive line's terrible. Najee Harris has no lanes to run. They got a lot of issues on Pittsburgh. I don't think Kenny Pickett actually fixes, so maybe they go with Trubisky longer, but I mean, to me, I think if you actually want to win this season, I think you actually put in the better quarterback in Kenny Pickett. But I don't think he helps them right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're offensively challenged, but do they not have the talent, or are they getting held back by the quarterback? That's the big question.
I think the offensive coordinator hurts too. I don't like Matt Canada that much. So I think it's a combination of stuff, but that offensive line is brutal. I mean, they do have the receivers. I mean, Trubisky.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They have one of the best running backs in the game, and they do have some weapons. And that's why I wonder if they made a quarterback switch, do they have enough weapons that they can score more points?
I think they can score more points, but again, where do you draw the line? And Mitch Trubisky can't get it done against the Jets. You have to seriously consider a change, but we may not see that until after their bye week, which I think is after the Eagles game. So we may see Mitch Trubisky when they play the Eagles.
All right, so that was the Thursday night game right there. And, of course, we look at what's coming up for Philly here. I want to kind of get the vibe that you got from the Washington side of things this week on Good Morning NFC East. What are they thinking about their team and Philly coming down here and just kind of where they sit? It's easy to say, Jeff, well, Philly beat Detroit and Washington lost to Detroit, so that's one thing. But what has the Washington side of things been saying to you on Good Morning NFC East?
So I talked to Jordan DeJaney, who is a colleague of mine at CBS, big into Washington. I grew up a Commanders fan. Back then they were the other name, but Jordan isn't too optimistic about Washington. Sorry, Mike. Apologize. Washington's chances on Sunday, and he said, "Look, they're beat up at linebacker." Man, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, Jeff Kerr having a little problems over there trying to get that. It's almost making you want to throw up the fact that you have to talk about the Commanders here.
Yeah, the irony is I didn't eat anything. So, anyway, where was I going with this? Okay, so Washington, pretty much, he's not optimistic at linebacker. He's not optimistic in the secondary, right? So I'm thinking, okay, and I know they're really bad at rush defense. It's actually, I put up a stat today. The 7.5 yards per carry average Washington has given up is the highest for two games for any team since 1951.
Yep.
And you're facing an Eagles offense that loves to run the football and is very good at running the football, whether they have Landon Dickerson or not. Jordan's a big gambling guy, and he said, look.
Sounds like Dickerson's going to play, by the way. A lot of people are kind of – it feels like everybody got the same information at the same time. Like, I'm hearing that the Eagles aren't too concerned that Dickerson's not going to play. So it looks like he will play. But, yes, he is questionable.
Yeah, so Jordan pretty much – he's a big gambling guy. He said, not only he was going to win, they're going to cover. He's convinced on that. On the road, by the way. And then I had Anthony Armstrong today, former Washington wide receiver who played with McNabb. I mean, he said, look, I'm a fan. I'm going to pick Washington. But he said, we're, comparing apples here. Philadelphia's a better team. They just are. And he said, Washington's really going to have to step up on defense, and they're probably going to have to score 25, 30 points just to even compete with them. So I think Washington overall, I think they're a good team. I just don't think they're at that level the Eagles are at. It feels like they're at the level the Eagles were last year.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like Washington right now, and see if you agree. I mean, they got too many injury issues. Philly's offensive line, I think Dickerson, if he plays, even if he doesn't, they're so banged up on no Young. Allen might not play. I think actually Allen's not playing, right? So they got some problems on the defensive line, which is their strength, and I definitely think that they could be had in the secondary. I just don't know how they match up with the Eagles receivers. And you mentioned 7.5. I saw that stat. We brought it up earlier today. I mean, the Eagles can run the ball generally on – look, did they run the ball well in the playoffs last year? No, but they're not playing Tampa Bay level of defense maybe the whole season here. They should be able to run the ball at will most weeks here. I just feel like they can run the ball, and then it should set up some big play action this week.
See, that's what drives me nuts about the playoff game last year when you got the Jalen Hurts detractors and, the whole Tampa Bay defense was laughing at. I'm like, defenses laugh at every quarterback. They laugh at Mahomes sometimes. No one scores off Tampa Bay's defense. I mean, if you don't know that by now, you're just not watching football. But overall, I said, Jalen Hurts should have a big game Sunday against this defense. Their linebackers are the worst coverage linebackers I've seen watching all year. I mean, granted, it's only been 2 weeks, but they're not deep in the secondary. Their defensive line's banged up. Is Allen out? Did they officially announce that?
I know that he was banged, and I had Armstrong on earlier too. He wasn't sure.
Yeah. Okay. So
because I don't know that Washington put out their injury. I saw the Eagles put their obviously right around 4:00. I did not check Washington's. I'll look that up here.
Yeah, I think everybody's in now. Because I remember seeing on CBS, we were talking about how this is like the earliest injury report ever for all the years we've been doing this. But I didn't get to see Washington yet. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Mike. It's just I feel like this Washington defense really needs to step up on Sunday, or Jalen Hurts just has to have a bad game for them to not win.
Actually, Jonathan Allen, full participant, so it looks like he's going to play. Yeah, so Casey Toohill is out, and really Daniel Wise is the only other one. They seem pretty healthy too.
Sam Crow coming back's big for them, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, they but not having Chase Young is big.
Oh yeah, and see, here's the thing with Chase Young. Just from all the stuff I've been hearing, it's last year they weren't too happy with Chase Young. Like not as a person or anything, just how he was playing. And when he was finally starting to turn around is when he got the cut block and then he tore his ACL. And, I don't know when he's coming back. Week 5 at the earliest, right? But it doesn't seem like he's going to be back for a little bit.
No, and I think them losing him, it's hurt their pass rush big time. They don't have good linebackers in terms of coverage. Their secondary is a little light as well. This is the kind of game where, I think Philadelphia could control it, but it's that whole, they just came off the Monday night. Everyone's talking about them, Jeff. I think that's been a big theme this week is, hey, can this Eagles team deal with the national media talking about them and mentioning Jalen Hurts as an MVP candidate and, that they could be a Super Bowl contender. That's a lot to kind of deal with on a short week. And the whole Wentz thing is there as well. But you're on the road in the division. So I feel like this, I don't want to say trap, but I think it's a game that could be a little ugly because they played almost a flawless game on Monday.
Yeah, it's an NFC East game. So, that's why I give the Giants a chance against Cowboys because it's the NFC East. It's unpredictable. And look, Washington, I think there's a lot more pressure on Washington to win this game right now because if they lose, you're 2 games back of the Eagles and the Eagles have the tiebreaker. If you win, you have the tiebreaker and you're tied with the Eagles. So the Eagles can really get some separation on them early in the season.
Yeah, I know that. What do you make of the whole Wentz thing this week? I felt like I don't know, maybe your show was different. I just felt like I thought it was going to be a little bigger, and I don't know if it's because the Eagles played so well, and then Ben Simmons did his interview, and the Phillies got a couple of big wins. Like, did the Wentz stuff, like, get swept under the rug, or people passed it? Like, this is the first time he's going to face the Eagles, and it was not it was kind of an acrimonious split there.
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail on the head with Ben Simmons. I think the Ben Simmons thing, the pandering J.J. Redick gave him was beyond ridiculous, but I digress there. So overall, I wanted to hear what Wentz said Wednesday. And in my personal opinion, I think Wentz said a hell of a lot more about the Eagles organization than he ever did Doug Peterson. That's just my personal opinion. And I think his beef was with Doug. And I know Joe Santaquillo and I think Ted McManus came out with the story about, the issues were upstairs with Howie Roseman. And I know Joe Santaquillo said Wentz was like sitting at the cool kids table and, Jalen Hurts didn't actually make life easy for him because Jalen Hurts is a leader and he walks around like a leader. And it can be problematic for a starting quarterback. I just think Wentz is ready to move on. I'll tell you what, I really don't care about the guy anymore personally. Like, everybody goes, you always talk about Carson Wentz. I'm like, I talk about Carson Wentz because he's in the NFC East. I really don't care about Carson Wentz the person, Carson Wentz the player. I moved on. I feel like a lot of Eagles fans might have moved on, and I think Jalen Hurts playing well has really helped that too.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's the fact that, hey, he went to another organization and then they got rid of him. Did that feel like it was somewhat validated that it was just not fitting here? But, hey, listen, I think Hurts is in a spot now, and we just talked about this. Sal Paolantonio was on at 5, and he thinks there's more pressure on Hurts to play well in this game. After the way he played on Monday night, now that everybody's talking about him, he has to show that he can follow that up, not better it, but be consistent. And that's the next step for Hurts. That was a great game, but you got to show me another good game. You can't revert back to a guy that I have questions about.
Yeah, so he's had 2 good games, right, in back-to-back week. Yeah, can he do it a third week? Can he do it a fourth week? Especially against a defense he should be able to tear up. So I would agree with Sal on that. I wanted to add one thing to the Wentz piece too. So this is about the validation thing. The Eagles got a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. You know who they used that first-round pick to get, right?
There's a whole convoluted mess of
A.J.
people
Brown.
who Devonta Smith.
I did an article on this. They essentially got like A.J. Brown and a bunch of things for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, he was somehow in that deal with like a pick that they traded for somebody else, and somebody else.
Yeah, it was the Saints pick they traded. So it was, or the pick they traded to the Saints, and then it ended up being the pick they used to get A.J. Brown, et cetera. It's a weird, convoluted. What's the word?
Convoluted mess.
Convoluted mess. Thank you. So yes, that's what it is. And hey, you know what? I think Carson Wentz's epic failure in Indy kind of made Eagles fans smirk a bit.
I wouldn't even say epic. He just failed in a big moment. He had a good season last year, but the problem is, and Philadelphia fans fall into this, he had this MVP season, and then he didn't. And then his next season wasn't as good as that one. No season lived up to the one that we want to remember the most, and therefore he failed because he wasn't the guy when he was at his best the other 3 years.
You know who had that MVP type season early in his career, then had a down year, but responded to it? Joel Embiid.
Well, Embiid has continued. That's a good point, Jeff, is that he was getting questioned. Is he in shape? Is he going to be able to, play at that size and get up and down the court? Is he always going to be hurt? And look, there's still questions about his injury history. He got hurt again in the playoffs, and people said, oh, here we go again with him getting hurt.
A freak injury, but I agree. So, again, as someone who's had Sixers season tickets for years now, I remember like the first year they were good, and he had like average 27.8 points per game. I'm like, man, I don't know if he can ever get any better than this. Like, this might be the best we've seen. And somehow he's had 2 or 3 better years than that already.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, obviously, Philly is about a touchdown favorite in the game. They're on the road. Obviously, this is a division game. Philly wins 24-7 last week. They're 8-2 against the Commanders since 2017. They're 4-1 at FedEx Field. It feels like the kind of game they should win, but your thoughts on how this one goes down?
I do think the Eagles win. I don't know if it's going to be convincingly because it is an NFC East game. I do think they win by double digits, though. I just don't think Washington has fixed their problems on defense, and the Eagles got a lot of playmakers. I'll tell you one person I expect to have a big game on Sunday, and that's Devonta Smith.
All right, Devonta Smith. That was my pick of player for the week last week. I don't know that you would call him. I think Hurts is kind of the player of the week last week on offense. I had Javon Hargrave on defense, and he gave me nothing.
I'll say this, though. Devonta Smith targeted 7 times, caught 7 passes, 80 yards. So he had a pretty
Had a good game. Had a good game, but he wasn't the player of the game.
No. Yeah,
Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. He's back on Monday. Monday morning, we'll recap the Eagles and the Commanders on Good Morning NFC East. That's on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. And then we'll take a look at Giants and Dallas right here on the Sports Bash at 5:30 for Good Evening NFC East with Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports. You can check him out at Jeff Kerr CBS on Twitter. All right, Jeff, have a good weekend, man.
Sounds good, Mike. I promise I won't cough on Monday when you bring up Washington's defense.
Yeah, compose yourself, would you?
I'll watch Super Bowl. I eat hours before I actually come on here.
I believe you. All right, bud. Jeff Kerr, CBS Sports, Good Morning NFC East. Hey, I got to give my winners some congratulations for the ZZ Top tickets. Doug Mulholland, Mark DePamphilis, Jackie Spina, Larry Johnson, Grandmama, and Jack McEwen. You guys are all going to see ZZ Top over at Ocean Casino Resort at Ovation Hall. Congratulations. You know why they won? They have the app. They entered to win, and they were randomly selected of all the people who qualified. Thanks to the people who have the app. Get the app because starting Monday, we have another great prize thanks to our friends at Ocean Casino Resort. Get the app, win great prizes every week on the Sports Bash, and you can watch the Sports Bash on the free mobile app. It's easy to do on the YouTube channel. Go to 973ESPN.com/app and watch the Sports Bash live. Hey, we're going to wrap up the show. My pick for the game, my thoughts on the game, all that good stuff. That's all next to close out a Friday edition of the Sports Bash.
We're here at the brand new RK Service Center. Got to be super excited about all the things that are going on here at RK.
We are. We're super excited. We've been waiting this for a long time. We're very proud of this facility. We are hiring new technicians, so we're offering a $1,500 sign-on bonus. You can check with our managers in terms of the details on that. But along with that, we offer healthcare, dental, eye, 401k with a match, and on it goes.
No better place to look than right here at RK Auto Group.
RKAutogroup.com, but individually for each manufacturer would be MyRKChevy.com, MyRKKia.com, and MyRKSubaru.com.
When it comes to taking care of your physical wellness, maintaining good health of your bones and muscles, you want a team of doctors you can trust and who hold themselves to the highest standards. At Premier Orthopedic Associates, we believe that you should live life at your best. Our team of non-operative and operative orthopedic specialists strive for the highest standards, exceptional outcomes, and happiest patients. Come and experience the Premier difference.
The Claridge is the best destination to stay and play on the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Just steps away from the ocean, the Claridge has it all. The city's ultimate rooftop bar, wonderful restaurants, classic guest rooms with ultra-high-speed Wi-Fi, and 100,000 square feet of banquet and convention space for events and the wedding of your dreams. Book at Claridge.com for the best rates and find the best package for your stay. Discover all that Claridge has to offer.
Back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, get ready to wrap up Friday's show, everybody. What's going on? Mike Gill with you till the top of the hour. Josh has game night. Andy McNamara will answer your fantasy football questions tonight. Don't forget, my friends, over at ACY. You know, I've been telling you about ACY, but I don't know that you know that you can check out your team's favorite road games and fly from ACY. It's easy to do. You head to the airport. You don't have to worry about all the fees and the hassle of the big city airport. You can go with American Airlines from ACY and get there. Check out all 90 domestic and international destinations. It's your one-stop ticket for all the domestic and international destination. Save time and money. Avoid the fees and hassle of parking at the big city airport when you start your next vacation. American Airlines from ACY. Excitement is one stop away on American Airlines from ACY. Book today, AA.com. It's a great feature to have it right in our own backyard now. Gives you another carrier right here, and you can make it to, I'd say, man, the Eagles, Phillies are in Chicago. I'd love to go out to Wrigley for that series there. All right, let me give you the rundown for what we got. By the way, gave you the ZZ Top winners. Congratulations to those 5. Got another qualifier for the Eagles tickets coming up in just a couple of moments. Going to give you my Eagles pick and favorite plays of the week and my players of the game. This is the way I see the game. I think Philly runs the ball. I don't think they want to show a lot either. Like, it's one of those games where I think they can play a safe game and win on the road. So, like the Detroit game, I don't think it's that high scoring, but like, it's going to be a win, but you're probably not going to be all that impressed. I got 27-17 Eagles. 27-17 Eagles. Players of the game, I'm going to go Dallas Goedert for the Eagles. I think Goedert has the big day of all the receiving guys. Their linebackers are a little weak in coverage. I got Goddard, my offensive player of the game. Defensive player of the game, it's a tough one. Slay was amazing last week. I can't go Slay again. He can't duplicate that. But I'm gonna go. Let me go Fletcher Cox again. I'm feeling Fletcher Cox this game again. Give me 2 games in a row for Fletcher. I guess Slay was definitively defensive player of the game last week. Hurts probably on offense. But I got Fletcher and Goddard. They're my players of the games for this week here. All right? And I got Eagles 27-21. The matchups that I'm kind of like really zoned in on is the Eagles' offensive line against their defensive front. I think that's the difference in the game. I think the Eagles' offensive line wins them this game. They can simplify the game plan and kind of go that direction. So that's my pick. 27-17 Eagles is my pick. My plays of the week, I like Tennessee +2. Home dog. We go that route. Jacksonville +7. I like Tampa -1. I like the Bears -2.5. That's what I got for you. Hey, give me caller number 7, 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Our final qualifier of the night. Eagles, Commanders, Monday Night Football tickets, club box seats. To win, you got to qualify. And to qualify, you got to be caller number 7 right now. 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller 7, good luck. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm back on Monday live at the Gallery, bar booking games.